Distinguished colleagues, any member who has a petition to present to the House may please rise to do so. Okay. Control room, increase our volume a little bit up. Yes, please.
Mr. Speaker, distinguished colleagues, I am Honorable Architect Muhammad Mukhtar Zannan Kazauri, member representing Kazauri, Roni, Gwiwa, Enkwashi Federal Constituency. Mr. Speaker, I rise to lay a petition before the House on the urgent petition against KEDCO for high voltage power supply incident at Embakada Kazauri local government, Jigawa State, which claimed the lives and properties of my constituents. Mr. Speaker, I so move.
Your distinguished colleague should be heard in silence. Please.
Yeah.
You may now proceed to lay your petition.
Okay. I've laid it. He said I should. Yeah. Mr. Speaker, he said I should proceed. Well, I've laid the petition already. So can I proceed with the petition?
Yeah, say you may now proceed to lay the petition.
I've laid the petition. Okay, let me do it again. Okay, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I seek the leave of the House to lay the petition, Mr. Speaker.
The leave is hereby granted. You may now lay your petition.
Okay.
Yes, leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, distinguished honorable colleagues. I have a petition. Honorable Abdullah Ibrahim Halims is my name. I am from Kogi State, and I represent the good people of Ankpa, Omala Federal Constituency. I have a petition on the predicament of Ika communities, Ika district, Njema 4, Ankpa local government, Kogi State, as a result of mining activities and its effects on the environment. Mr. Speaker, I seek the leave of this assembly to drop this petition. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Which order? Order for petition. Kindly permit me to...
Please, you may now lay your petition, please. Yes, Attorney.
Mr. Speaker, distinguished colleagues, my name is Barrister Jesse Okejo Onakalos. I represent the Nigerians, especially the heartbeat of Lagos, Oshodi Solot, too. Mr. Speaker and distinguished colleagues, I have two petitions. I just summarize them. One is by petition against Nigerian Army over unlawful dismissal of Lieutenant Moses Odir from service. And the second one is petition by Secret Engineering, request for intervention of this Honorable House on matters arising from non-payment of money spent by this company on OML 110 before it was sold to another company. Mr. Speaker and distinguished colleagues, with the leave of the House, I present this petition, the habitat of petitioners, for the House intervention. Mr. Speaker, I so move.
Please, you may now lay your petition. Petition? Okay, leader, let's hear from you. Minority Leader, please go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, my dear colleagues. Kingsley Chinda, I represent Toby Abo Federal Constituency. I'm an Ikwere man from River State. Mr. Speaker, I have a petition from one barrister, Isioma Kelebia, on behalf of Comrade Emmanuel Odaife Ibini. Mr. Speaker, my dear colleagues, the petition is against Total Energies E&P Nigeria Limited. And the gamut of the petition is that the said company wrongfully locked out their staff, Mr. Emmanuel Ibini, and terminated his appointment after torture. Mr. Speaker, my dear colleagues, the prayer is that
Order, please.
the petitioner has come to us, asking us to look into this matter and do justice to him. With your leave, Mr. Speaker, I seek to lay this petition before the House.
Please, Leader, you may now lay your petition.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, the Prince.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My honorable colleagues, I remain Chief Dr. Billy Famous Adesuwa Sawaru, representing the good people of Oriomo Nwode Federal Constituency. I remain a proud Bini Chief from Edo State. Mr. Speaker, I have a petition from Paul Osayaho Chambers, ably signed by Andrew Imiefo Esquire. Mr. Speaker, this petition has to do with the abuse of police powers, harassment, robbery, kidnapping, and demand for ransom, criminal extortion, oppressive acts perpetrated by the police officers, Emmanuel Amuche, Ben Kange, and Femi of the Homicide Section of the Force Criminal Investigation Department, FCID, Abuja, which acts were perpetrated against Glory Ikponwosa and his wife, Mrs. Cynthia Edo Isiagbo Ikponwosa. Mr. Speaker, the prayers here is for your kind intervention towards ensuring that justice is served. Mr. Speaker, I seek the leave of the House and the Speaker to lay this petition.
Leave is hereby granted. You may now lay your petition.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
All petitions are hereby referred to the Committee on Public Petitions. Any member who has a matter of urgent public importance may please rise to make such presentation. Is Honorable Isiaka here?
Thank you very much. Our own quintessential speaker, a lawyer of great repute in political savvy. I'm Right Honorable Ibrahim Ayokunle Isiaka. I speak for and on behalf of the very good people of the Ifoewekoro Federal Constituency. Mr. Speaker, I'm from the fastest growing economic state in Nigeria. I'm from Ogun State, proudly. I rise, Mr. Speaker, to bring before my distinguished honorable colleagues this matter of urgent national importance, and that I want us to suspend all our rules to enable me to take this because a stitch in time, Mr. Speaker, series 9, and that's why this matter is very urgent and important. and is a call to thoroughly investigate the upholding national security, equity, and the best interests of the Nigerian economy and the people in grappling with the digital assets, crypto exchanges, international money transfers, operators, payment gateways, and platforms. Mr. Speaker, distinguished honorable colleagues, a minute further may spell doom and catastrophe. In this wise, I want to seek your indulgence to allow me to take this matter now. Mr. Speaker, I so appeal. Thank you very much, sir.
Please, any seconder to the first leg of this motion? Chairman, public petition, please.
Order, please. Order in the House.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Please, while you are here, try and reach out to your friends who are maybe in the
My name is Right Honorable Mike Etaba. I represent...
Wait, I'm making a comment. Chairman, public petition. I'm saying while we are here, reach out to some of your friends who are at the committee meetings at the moment, that an all-important sectorial engagement will be starting soon, which borders on agriculture and food security. And Nigerians would like to hear their opinion, so let them come and participate. It's important we have varieties of opinion. Chairman, public petition, please go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My name is Mike Etaba. I represent the good people of Obubraitung. I'm from Cross River, the People's Paradise. Mr. Speaker, I rise to second the motion moved by Honorable Isiaka that the matter is urgent and important, that if we shall allow him take the matter. I so second.
Those in support of this motion say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Who is seconding the second leg of the motion, that it is urgent to be heard now? Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My revered colleagues, I am Honorable Chief Mitema Obodo, representing the people of Ogbea Federal Constituency. Mr. Speaker, I'm from Bayelsa State. I rise to give credence to the second leg of the motion and to say that the matter is urgent enough to come under matters of urgent public importance. I so second, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much. Those in support of this motion say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Please, Honorable Isiaka, make it brief, please. We have a special day today, and we're only taking one more public importance, and then we'll go into the business of the day. Make it as brief as possible.
Once again, Mr. Speaker, distinguished honorable colleagues, the title of the motion already conveyed the synopsis of what I would have made another elaborate discussion on. Mr. Speaker, in as much as country at large, we are grappling front and back and forth with the flotation of the Naira and the antecedent challenges in the country. At the same time, the House notes the ongoing adoption, appreciation in value and utilization of digital assets globally, and the gradual entrenchment of a global digital asset marketplace as financial and other technological advancements.
Silence, please.
In the country.
Stop
Nigeria, as an example, Mr. Speaker, distinguished honorable colleagues, the House understands the concerns expressed even by the our own Central Bank of Nigeria with regards to the likelihood of illicit transactions and money laundering on the cryptocurrency and other digital payment platforms in Nigeria. The House is so worried about the assertion again that on Tuesday, 27 February 2024, that $26 billion has passed through some of the medium gateway platforms in Nigeria from one source to another. with many Nigerians being shortchanged in this occurrence. In view of this and the threat to the national security, which this portends, because it has been alleged, underline, Mr. Speaker, distinguished honorable colleagues, alleged that many security challenges and payments across this gateway are attributed to even kidnappers and other security infringements on citizens of the country. The House hereby resolves mandate the House Committee on National Security and Intelligence to, 1, investigate the current status of the gateway platforms and how they truly or not connected with many security challenges in the country. 2, engage all relevant stakeholders to initiate necessary processes for establishing required legislation and regulations with other regulatory institutions in Nigeria. 3, identify all stakeholders operating in the categories listed in 1, 2, 3, and above operations to establish their profile in line with national security initiative. Mr. Speaker, distinguished honorable colleagues, the House further mandates the House Committee on Security to investigate the current status of the e-naira on the global cryptocurrency platform, the costs incurred, processes undertaken, and statutory compliance in creating the digital currency. Mr. Speaker, distinguished honorable colleagues, this is a harmless, non-toxic motion, and I plead that it's so accepted by my distinguished honorable colleagues for passage. Mr. Speaker, thank you very much for yielding the floor to me this morning to espouse my views about this motion. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much. Any seconder to this motion? Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm Barrister Muhammad Bello Shehu, representing the people of Fegi Federal Constituency. Mr. Speaker, I rise this morning to support the motion ably moved by my colleague. I so second. Thank you.
Those in support of this motion say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Motion is referred as prayed.
Order, please.
The second motion of urgent public importance will be coming from Honorable Billy Osawuru.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My very understanding colleagues, I remain Honorable Chief Dr. Billy Famous Adesuwa Osawaru, representing the good people of Orionwo Unhude Federal Constituency. Mr. Speaker, I'm a proud Benin Chief from Edo State. Mr. Speaker, I have a matter of urgent national importance, and this is a motion on the need to urgently avert the looming calamity and improve security in Igbanka community, Orionwo local government, in Orionwo Unhude Federal Constituency in Edo State. to suspend all relevant rules because I stand on order A through 5. So I can move this all-important motion.
Thank you very much. Any seconder to this motion? Yes, beside Omuogo.
Your Excellency, Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, my name is Honorable Eugene Okechukwu Dibiago. I represent the very good people of Ohaji Ebema, Uguta and Oru West. Mr. Speaker, I rise to second the motion as ably moved by my colleague. I so second.
Thank you very much. Those in support of this motion say aye. Aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The second leg of the motion. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My name is Honorable Adami Ibrahim Gamawa from Gamawa Federal Constituency in Bauchi State. I rise to second the second leg of this motion to enable him to present this motion as matter of urgent public importance. I so second.
Those in support of this motion say aye. Aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Please, Saul, remove your motion. Make it very brief. We have a special day.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. The House is aware that the primary function or responsibility of government as provided in the Nigerian Constitution. The House is disturbed that the good people of Igbanka community in Orion local government of Edo State are recently beginning to know no peace as they are currently under kidnappers' siege. Among on daily basis are stories of willful attacks, kidnapping, and sacking of villagers abound. Mr. Speaker, the House is worried that in the space of 1 week, specifically between the 7th and 11th of February 2024, Igbanka community has witnessed 2 incidents by unknown gunmen in military uniform, abducting over 20 villagers in total, while some persons suffer various degrees of injuries during the attacks. And this calls for a radical attention from the combined task force of police and army to restore confidence in the people and ensure safety of the farmers. Mr. Speaker, the House is concerned that at the rate at which insecurity is advancing across Igbanka community in Orion local government of Edo State, that used to be a very peaceful place and beyond, coincides approach and proactive measures should be employed to counter the efforts of the perpetrators now before it blows out of proportion. Mr. Speaker, the House resolves that 1, they urge the Inspector General of Police to contain this new insecurity in Igbanka community, Orion local government area of Orion Nwode Federal Constituency in Edo State, and prevent it from escalating further. 2, all the heads of security agencies in Nigeria to urgently step up the security surveillance of the community to ensure lives and properties of the citizens are protected so that farmers can return to their farms. And lastly, Mr. Speaker, the House should mandate the House Committee on National Security and Intelligence to ensure compliance and report back to the House in 4 weeks for further legislative action. I so move, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much. Any seconder to this motion? Yes, down. Mama, Akume. Honorable Akume, please.
Mr. Speaker, dear honorable colleagues, my name is Rep. Regina Akume, representing the good people of Bokotaka constituency. Mr. Speaker, I'm from Benue State. I rise this morning to second the motion moved by my very good colleague. Thank you.
I think it's a straightforward motion. Those in support of this motion say aye. Aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Motion referred as prayed in the body of the motion. Most distinguished colleagues, yeah, what's your point of order?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My name is Honorable Chris Nkwanta, and I represent the good people of Okwa, East and West Federal Constituency. Mr. Speaker, if you take a look at Order 9, Rule 12, one of our colleagues, Honorable Kabiru, sitting to my left, is not properly dressed.
Point of order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Point of order, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Kabiru, can you stand? Let's look at you.
Point of order.
Can you stand? He is well dressed. He is well dressed. And I actually commend this kind of dressing. You are marrying English and native. It is highly commendable. Your point of order is hereby overruled. Hello, Honorable Chinedu, what is your point of order?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Honorable colleagues, Right Honorable Comrade Chinedu Ogaoen is my name. I represent Ikwo Ezasa Federal Constituency. Mr. Speaker, my point of order is Order 6, Rule 1, Sub 3. The right of privilege, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, it's very unfair that the session of the National Assembly have no lights, and they have infringed my own privilege, that I cannot even attend to my constituency. No lights, nothing is working in the part of the National Assembly. For that, Mr. Speaker, my privilege have been infringed by the service of the House, Mr. Speaker. Thank you.
Thank you very much. This is a serious matter that has been raised by Honorable Chinedu Oga, because coming to work and not having the right environment to deliver on the job that the constituents have asked us to do is actually detrimental to fulfilling the mandate of our office. So it is actually very relevant that you raise this. Please, Secretariat, get in touch with the technical department. I heard they are repairing the generator there. I'm sure by today, tomorrow, light should return there, because the National Assembly has been on generator for about 3 days now, and we are hoping. Order, please. Please, Gombe Speaker, former, sit down. This is a privilege that affects all of us, or majority of us. So ensure, Secretariat, that the generator is repaired quickly and that members will have access to electricity. Most distinguished colleagues, the business of the day is a motion on admittance into the chamber. Honorable Minister and Minister of State, Agriculture and Food Security, Honorable Minister of Blue Economy, Comptroller General of Customs, Director General Nemaha, the Country Representative of Food and Agricultural Organization, FAO, Managing Director, NISAL, Managing Director, Bank of Agriculture, Chief Executive Officer, Agri Development Program, ADP, and their entourage for the purpose of sectorial debates on the agricultural sector, standing in the name of the House Leader, the Leader is invited to move the motion. Leader, please move the motion.
Point of order, Mr. Speaker. Point of order.
What order?
Order 6, Rule 1 and 2 and 3. Order 17, Rule 1 and 4. Mr. Speaker, I just want us to take a hard look at this various combination of this various order, including Order 20, Rule 4.
To the
Order
House.
6.
Read it. Calm down.
Yes.
We will listen to you, but easy.
Yes,
Let us read us the order.
Mr.
Open it
Speaker.
and read for us to see the most important based on your references.
Yes, Mr. Speaker.
Which one is the most important order so you can refer there?
Yes, Mr. Speaker and distinguished colleagues, my name is Barrister J.C. Okejo Onakalus. I represent the Nigerians, especially the heartbeat of Lagos, Ochodi Solo, too. Mr. Speaker, distinguished colleagues, I stand before you in reference to these three orders of the standing order of this honorable
Which
court.
one, most especially? Which
the
one?
important one, the most, three of them, Mr. Speaker, I'm going to
Mention the one you want us to read.
Order 6, Rule 1, 2, and 3.
That is privilege. Read it.
Mr. Speaker, Order 6, Rule 3.
Which page?
Page 36.
Yes, go ahead.
I want to define the privilege. Say the privileges are the right enjoyed by the House collectively and by the members of the House individually, confirmed by the Legislative House Powers and Privilege Acts and other statutes. 3. 2. Any member may arise at any time to speak on a matter of privilege. Suddenly, he must be prepared to move without notice a motion declaring that a content or breach of privilege has been committed. 3. A matter of privilege at any time may arise upon disposal until the debate on the motion which is adjourned and suspended has been considered. Mr. Speaker, these rules confirm to me to bring to the attention of this House the important issue I want to raise before this House. And that important issue rests on Order 7, Rule 4, and Order 17, Rule 4. Order 17, Rule 4, Mr. Speaker, distinguished colleagues, says here, statutory report, page 111, statutory report and sectorial debate. Mr. Speaker and distinguished colleagues, that is the headline of this very order. In other words, for us to interpret the orders, we must look at the definition of sectorial and sectorial debate. And I've looked at the dictionary here on what it calls sectorial debate. It is a debate in relating to the policies of the economy of a nation. And this House, by virtue of this provision, has brought before us this order. And if you look at Order 1, it says, all ministry, statutory agencies, bodies or corporate shall forward to the Speaker all reports required by statutes within 3 months or close of the reporting period, unless a reason given for the delay to be given to the House in writing within 14 days of this. Mr. Speaker, if you read Rule 1, 2, 3, 4, it cannot be read in isolation. And in the 4th rule, it says here, the House may engage in sectorial debate on issues of national importance as may be directed by the Speaker. Mr. Speaker and distinguished colleagues, why I brought? Because the issue at stake is a very important issue. It is required that whichever ministry that is appearing before us must present us a detailed report of his engagement. That is my position, Mr. Speaker, distinguished colleagues, to enable us to be at peace on what they are presenting. Mr. Speaker and distinguished colleagues, we have had the privilege of hearing a sectorial debate here, where when the ministers and various executives come before this House and present issues without us having a fallback of the situation. It is important, Mr. Speaker and distinguished colleagues, that any agency that is appearing before us must give us a leeway of what they are presenting. That we are most to question them on their rights. And secondly, and this is falsified by Section 88 and 8 of 19 Constitution, which gives us right to investigate and all this. So, Mr. Speaker and distinguished colleagues, having come this before this House, and that did not receive any report by these agencies, Mr. Speaker, I so will move. They have not fulfilled the condition before they will appear with us for us to have any meaningful sectorial dispute. I so move. Thank you.
Let me clear you. I think you are discussing two different issues. But because I'm going to be unbiased as the chair, as the presiding officer, I would like to hear a comment from the chairman, public accounts, and then I'll explain to you, based on the rule that you just read, the purposive interpretation of that particular provision. Thank you. Please.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My name is Bamidele Salam, at the north, at the south, Egbedore, Ejigbo Federal Constituency of Osun State. Mr. Speaker, I want to thank you for the opportunity to make a comment on the point of order raised by my very respected colleague from Moche Diosolo. Mr. Speaker, it is my considered opinion that my colleague's point of order is a little bit misplaced, with due respect. I said that because, no, the point of order on privileges is to allow him raise the point of order contained in Order 17. So the substantive point of order is actually Order 17 that he has raised. And that's the one I'm addressing, Mr. Speaker. I believe very strongly that if we look at the wordings of the referred to sections of that point of order, we spoke about the need for ministries and agencies and body corporation to forward to the Speaker report required by statute within 3 months of the close of reporting. Mr. Speaker, this is an information that is exclusive to the Speaker. It's exclusively to the knowledge of the Speaker. The Speaker receives such reports and decides on how those reports will be considered. In some cases, Mr. Speaker, the Speaker takes such reports and forwards them to relevant committees of the House to take action on. And so the provisions that have to do with sectorial debate does not in any way relate to submission of report by statutory bodies. The sectorial debate itemized on the paragraph 4 says, the House may engage in sectorial debate on issues of national importance. It could be any matter. And the prerogative of deciding on those issues and when the debate happens is exclusively that of Mr. Speaker. I so submit, Mr. Speaker. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think you have answered my question. The Order 17, 4 is very explicit. It says the House may engage in sectorial debate on issues of national importance. Agriculture is an issue of national importance now. Food security is an issue of national importance. And as may be directed by the House or the Speaker. And in this case, the Speaker has directed that this conversation should hold, unless you want to overrule Mr. Speaker. And I don't think you are willing to do that. So you are ruled out of order. We were about voting on the leader inviting our guests to come in. And leader, you are supposed to move the motion.
Having defeated that point of order collaterally, I hereby move that the House do admit. Sorry.
We can't hear you. Put on your microphone.
Once again, my names are Honorable Abdullah Ibrahim Ali Halims. I am from Kogi State and I represent the good people of Akpa Omala Federal Constituency.
Please increase the microphone from control room so that members can hear each other.
Having defeated that point of order collaterally, I hereby move that the House, pursuant to Order 6-41 and 2 of the standing orders of the House of Representatives, do admit into the chamber Honorable Minister and Minister of State, Agriculture and Security, Minister of Blue Economy, Controller General of Customs, Director General Nemaha, the Country Representative of Food and Agriculture, FAO, Managing Director, NISA, Managing Director, Bank of Agriculture, Chief Executive Officer, Agriculture Development Program, ADP, and their entourage for the purpose of sectoral debate on the agricultural sector. I so move, Mr. Speaker.
Minority Leader, can you second, please?
Mr. Speaker, my dear colleagues, Kingsley Chinda, I rise to second the motion moved by the Deputy Leader of the House that we allow members of the executive under Rule 4.1 to have access to the chambers in exercise of our powers under Order 17, Sub-Rule 4. I so second.
Those in support of this motion say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Please, leader, move to bring in our guests so that we can commence the conversation. Honorable Kumo, please approach the chair. Minority Leader, please. Before they come in, may I remind the House that it is not an investigative hearing. The committees will still have their turn to, discuss with some of these people coming in today. Today is to highlight the questions your constituents have been asking you on some of the national issues around agriculture and food security. So you ask those questions that your constituents are asking you in a civilized manner, like we have always been, so that they will have opportunity of addressing those questions. It does not preclude the committees to continue from where their mandate extends to. Most distinguished colleagues, the 13th order of the day is commencement of the sectorial debate, pursuant to Order 17, Rule 4 of the Standing Order of the House of Representatives. Honorable members are to note the debate centered on the agricultural sector and food security. I now invite the House Leader to move that the debate commences. House Leader, please. House Leader, move that the debate commences.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, distinguished honorable colleagues. Once again, Abdullah Ibrahim Halims is my name. I'm from Kogi State, and I represent the good people of Ankpa, Omala, Olamaboro Federal Constituency. I hereby move that the debate on the sectoral debate hereby commence. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
I invite the Minority Leader to second the motion.
Mr. Speaker, my dear colleagues, Kingsley Chinda, I represent Toby Abo Federal Constituency. I'm an Ikore man from Rivers State. I rise to second the motion that we do commence the sectorial debate in line with Order 17, Rule 4 of the House Rules. I so second.
Most distinguished colleagues, given the pressing issue of enhancing food security and agricultural productivity within our beloved nation, Nigeria, we must acknowledge the growing concern surrounding food insecurity despite the vast agricultural resources at our disposal, including over 80 million arable hectares, although only 34 million arable hectares are actively being cultivated. Honorable colleagues, our collective effort must focus on addressing both demand and supply factors along with the persistent challenge of food price inflation through thorough analysis. I have identified 4 critical levers for improving food security: increasing per capita consumption, raising production yield, curbing food price inflation, and reducing reliance on food import. Today, we are going to have a conversation that will be championed by you, where you will express yourself on the questions coming from the constituents, which the people in charge of this sector will be given opportunity to address. I now invite the Honorable Minister of Agriculture and Food Security to address the House on agricultural sector. It will take this format. You have 10 minutes to let Nigerians who are represented here know where you are coming from, where we are at the moment, and where we are going. After that, we will also have other guests make their presentation. And then questions will now be addressed to each of you one after the other. So the question time will come last. The first is the presentation. So you do it one after the other, and then we'll start with the question time. Thank you very much. Before you mount the rostrum, the question was asked and it was seconded, but the voting from the House did not come. The clerk just reminded me. Those in support that the debate commences say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Honorable Minister, please.
Thank you very much. Mr. Deputy Speaker, Right Honorable Benjamin Kalu, other principal officers of the House of Representatives, permit me to specially recognize my chairman here present, Chairman of Agriculture Production, Agricultural Institutions and Colleges, Rural Development, Nutrition, and Food Security. And also, Mr. Speaker, permit me to specially recognize my member, Honorable Malam Bukar Gana, whom I was actually blessed to be voted into that seat twice, about 25 years ago. Distinguished honorable members of the House of Representatives, my name is Senator Abubakar Kyari, the Minister for Agriculture and Food Security. I am here also accompanied by my brother and colleague, Senator Aliu Sabi Abdullahi, the Minister of State for Agriculture and Food Security, my joint ticket from the National Assembly to the Executive. Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, we are currently facing tough times in this country. The food security aspect is a challenging one. And may I point out that His Excellency, Mr. President, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, has since, about 7 months ago, identified and also came to his knowledge that we are challenged in food security when he declared an emergency on food security in July of 2023. He did not even stop at that. In August 2023, by precisely 21st of August, when we were sworn in as ministers, he changed the name of the ministry from Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development to Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security. Those actions already clearly spelled out the intention and the direction of Mr. President. He did not even stop at that. Subsequently, on our first FEC meeting, he rolled out his 8-point agenda. On Mr. President's 8-point agenda, number 1 was food security. And out of the 8, there are other 5 agendas that had a direct correlation with the activities of the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security, such as job creation, wealth creation, inclusivity of youth and women, access to capital, and corruption and insecurity. So when you look at all the 8-point agenda, majority has a direct correlation with the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security. Let me say that what we are facing today are both historical and also contemporary issues. When we go back memory lane, let's go back to history and look at even before the advent of the last administration, the issues of insecurity and farmer-herder clashes that has prevented. And I would appreciate and also commend and thank the House of Representatives for even calling a motion to step up in the insecurity in the land so as to have farmers have access to their farmlands. So these issues have been bedeviling the agricultural space that has impacted on farmers ever since before the advent of this and the last administration. When you look at, as we speak today, we have seen a reduction in terms of the insecurity in the lands, whether it is banditry, kidnapping, insurgency, separatist movements, and farmer-herders clashes. But however, after that, there are other issues that has affected agriculture. Case in point, COVID in 2020 had a great impact worldwide, not only to Nigeria, worldwide in terms of food production and food supply. And shortly thereafter, in 2021 and 2022, for those of us from the middle area of Nigeria and even in the northwest, we noticed a considerable rise in flooding activities around the riverbanks that has caused a lot of damage to our food production, especially during the rainy season. Then in addition, we also, in 2022, I would like to downplay that, but it was a fact that the policy of the Naira redesign had an impact on the local rural farmer who didn't have access to cash, and at the same time was under cultivation around the September, October, when they were harvesting their produce, and they need to pay their farm hands, and cash was unavailable. And even way to the time of 2023, last year, February, March, when they were just about planning to plant for the 2023, both dry and wet season, cash was also not readily available. So that really had an impact on the production, and that is in effect what we see portending its ugly head at this point. Usually, availability of foodstuff usually rears its head sometime around May, June, July, when you are just about to plant for the wet season, but we see and saw it coming much earlier. So which means that our production, even though it was marginally higher than that of 2022, but it was not enough to cater for our population that is growing at the rate of about 7 million people per annum. So these are issues that have created an issue that has given the rise to hike in food prices, and also the depletion of the food reserves is also another issue, because what we were faced last year, just shortly after we were sworn in, we noticed the trend that it was going towards that, and we had to halt the purchase and the restocking of the strategic grain reserve simply because of market forces. We felt if there were big money chasing the little that there is, it will increase the price of foodstuff in the market. So we tarried a bit, and at the same time, we also engaged the ministry, myself and my colleague, we also engaged the World Food Program, who is a major player in this arena, to halt any purchases in the market so as to stabilize prices. And as I'm talking to you, they are abiding by that. And instead of putting the money into the market, we ask them to assist the farmers to produce more so that they can offtake from the farmers. So this, Mr. Speaker and distinguished honorable members, has really impacted on the availability of food. In addition, I'm happy the CG is also here, that I'm sure he's going to explain some CG of Customs, is going to explain some of the commendable aspects that they have been able to do. But we have seen a lot of, I would say, smuggling of foodstuff outside of the country. That, in a sense, has also given reason to the availability of food in Nigeria. Then what is the issue? Call to action. This security is undeniable, impacting on all levels of our society. from the poor to the rich. And the president, in his wisdom, has given us the mandate to do whatever that is possible to mitigate the hardships and the problems of Nigerians. So we have charted a pathway. We, in fact, in January had a work plan that spelled out short-term, immediate short-term, mid-term, and long-term programs. I will just deal with what we have done so far. Last year, in November, we launched the dry season farming. The phase 1 was to plant wheat, and we have done that. We have planted 117,000 hectares, Jigawa being the #1 with 40,000, but I'm glad to announce that beyond the 40,000, they have done 55,000 hectares of wheat.
Order, please. Please. Let's conduct ourselves in silence, please.
And that is the first phase, and we're about to harvest that wheat shortly, this month to the end of the month. In a sense, what we have done with the dry season farming is to incentivize our farmers to have all year-round production. We have been having seasonal production, especially during the wet season. As we all know, sometimes we see farmers only farming activities in 4 months, and they'll stay idle for 8 months. But today, we've been working together with the Federal Ministry of Water Resources to take opportunity of the abundant irrigation facilities and the irrigable lands to do all year-round farming, and government is supporting that under 2 programs. #1 program is the National Agricultural Growth Scheme, Agro Pocket, which is partly funded by the African Development Bank, the Islamic Development Bank, and also the intervention by the federal government, and of course, by the benevolence of the National Assembly for giving us the budget allocation to carry out that strategy. The second phase is that of the rice, maize, and cassava. However, that is not the only commodities that we are going to deal with under the National Agricultural Growth Scheme. We also have sorghum, soya in the wet season. Now, what we have charted for the rice in the second phase is the cultivation of 150,000 of hectares under the NAGS, Agro Pocket, and then also in the intervention, the support of the deficiency, because there's a deficiency in the NAGS. Let me give you an example of the deficiency I'm talking about. In the wheat program, the NAGS calls for 50% subsidy. When we had the calculation at that time, for 1 hectare, the EOP for that, the inputs is 360,000 naira, and the 50% is 180,000 naira, which means that the farmer was expected to come up with 180,000 naira upfront and to be given full inputs of 360,000 naira worth of both fertilizer and pesticides and herbicides, and the seeds are free. Whether it is wheat, rice, or maize, or cassava, or sorghum, or soya, all the seeds that were given are free seeds. So that was a big challenge to farmers. You could imagine what it means for a small rural farmer to come up with 180,000 before planting, and then for him to get that value of inputs. So we decided in the second phase to scale it down so that it would be affordable to the farmer. We approached Mr. President, and he graciously approved that we do whatever is possible for the farmer to have access to capital, to have access to inputs. So what we did was, in the 150,000 hectares of NAGS, it still stands at 50%, and then we reduced the size of the farm. In the wheat, we did 1 farmer, 1 hectare. 1 hectare, for ease of reference, is equivalent to about a little bigger than a football field. So we felt and believed that that size is too much for the small rural smallholder farmer. So we decided to scale it down and apply double the number of farmers and reduce the size. So we reduced it to half a hectare and double the size of farmers. So for 150,000 for the nags, we're going to deal with 300,000 farmers. So with rice, the amount of inputs for rice is less than that of wheat. In the wheat, you need about 10 bags of fertilizer. In rice, you need 6 bags of fertilizer per hectare. So for half a hectare, we decided to use, we are going to give 3 bags of fertilizer and all the herbicides and pesticides, and then seeds, like I said, are free. So when we did the EOP, we found out that even the price was about 304 for half a hectare for rice, and for what at the end of the day the farmer would pay was about 75,000. But we decided to offtake that so that we give additional 1 bag of fertilizer so that the farmer will pay only 16,000. And the only reason why we did that was that so that the farmer will have a stake in what he's doing. In addition to that, after he's been funded and supported with all the materials, we are going to, at the end of the day, offtake 2 bags of 75 kilograms each of paddy from the farmer. That 2 bags will go directly to the food reserve. So that, in a sense, is something that we are going to incentivize the farmer in the rice second phase, and we intend to, Mr. Speaker and distinguished members, that we are going to roll out that program starting from next week from Niger, and then we move into the other areas. So then the issue of, well, let me just say that for the wheat, we did in 15 participating. There's only 15 states that can do wheat. So we did in the 15 states. But for the rice, it's all across, 36 states and FCT. And of course, there are some that are more, like for instance, in rice, Kebbi is #1. In wheat, Jigawa is #1. In rice, Kebbi and Niger are #1 states for rice. And the same thing will also apply for the additional 100,000. Mind you, for the rice, we're doing 250,000 for 150,000 for nags and 100,000 for special intervention from the federal government. So we're looking at a total of 250,000 hectares of rice for the dry season, which will mean impacting on 500,000 farmers, and which will have an estimated yield of 1 million tons. For the dry season, let me put it in this perspective. The whole demand in Nigeria is about 9 million tons of rice a year. We produce about 8.4 million tons. In the dry season, we produce about 3 million. With direct intervention, anywhere between 2.5 to 3 million. With the direct intervention of President...
Order, please. Order, please, honorable colleagues.
Of government is, will give us an estimate of about 1 million tons of rice within the next 3 months. So what we are seeing is that even if you take at 2.5 beyond the government intervention, it is going to be about 3 million or 2.5 million tons of rice, which will be about 30% of our need, and that will be able to take us through up until the rain season, at the end of the rain season, when we harvest another 6 million tons of rice. Maize is not as much as rice in the dry season, but we intend to cultivate about 55,000 hectares, which will impact 110,000 farmers, and a yield of 220,000 metric tons. Cassava also is 35,000 hectares with 70,000 farmers, and a yield of 525,000 tons. With the immediate...
Chief Whip, I think you are...
Honorable Minister,
you are carried away by...
Take 1 minute to round up, please. Thank you.
Well, it's a matter of the day today, so I think, but forgive me for that, I will round up very shortly. But for the immediate plans that we have.
Yeah, let's give him more than that. 1 minute is. We are talking about food security. We need to hear him. Others will be shorter than this. Others will be shorter than this. It's about food security. Let's hear him. It's very important.
Okay, I give him an additional 1 minute.
We have in our reserve, what we met was 53,000 metric tons of assorted grains. We have asked and gotten approval by Mr. President to distribute 42,000. We have remaining of 11,000 is for strategic storage, simply because you have to have a threshold for any, but God forbid, any eventuality that may befall in this country. So we have 42,000 that is in the process of being bagged, and also the NEMA is handling, and the Office of the NSA are handling the distribution, and they are mapping out the matrix of the vulnerability persons across the country. So that is ongoing, and it will soon be rolled out. Then in addition, we also have the ECOWAS rotational technical rotation, which have given Nigeria 5,000 metric tons of assorted grains as well. So that will be added to the 42,000 and the 5,000 and will be released very soon. The medium and long-term solutions, Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues here, is that we have to make agriculture business-oriented. Today, we find out and we see that people are just doing agriculture as a means of survival and subsistence. We have to make agriculture business. We have to turn it around. Like I said, for the wheat, I remember when I was addressing some people at Hadeja, when we launched the first phase of the NAGs on the wheat, we just did a simple analysis and made a small calculation. For 1 hectare, you need about 700,000 naira as at November last year to cultivate with irrigation and all that. And in 1 hectare, you can get 4 tons. 4 tons is 80 bags of 50 kilograms each. Each bag of wheat at that time was 50,000 naira. That's 4 million naira. And you invest 700. Okay, you invest 1 million. In 3-4 months, you have 3 million in 1 hectare, in the size of a football. In fact, there was an oil magnate that I was talking to when I gave him this, and he said, that he thinks he's in the wrong business. I think we need to turn our attention to that. I would want to plead with the Honorable Speaker and members of the House of Representatives. Agriculture is one of those areas that are excluded for public servants to participate. You can make huge impact. You have the resources, I'm sure, to make incredible impact and investment in agriculture in your society. Let's join hands and do that and turn agriculture into business. Let's incentivize and also educate our people to go into agriculture. The other issue that I would like to discuss and talk to you here, the steps that we are taking, is the issue of mechanization. This is something that is a huge setback for us as a country. We are under-tractorized. Today, I'm not too sure if we have 5,000 tractors working, fully working in Nigeria. We need over 72,000 with what we have in terms of arable land space. So we have signed an MOU in last year in November with John Deere, a huge company of agricultural equipment from America. And the MOU seeks for John Deere to bring in 2,000 tractors a year for the next 5 years, making it 10,000. As I'm speaking to you, they are in Lagos today, and they will be arriving Abuja this evening, and we're going to hold a meeting for the second time with the partners that are here, because Mr. President is wants the 2,000 tractors to arrive before the advent of the wet season. So the other one is the green imperative. This green imperative has been on the table for the past 6 years. However, I think it has kind of come to the fore now on the burner, and we received the ambassador at the office of the vice president. He received the ambassador of Brazil, which were the countries that are facilitating the Green Imperative program, with the representatives of the Deutsche Bank. It's a $1 billion arrangement where they are going to have service centers in every local government. What that service center seeks to do is they will have tractors, they will have extension services, they will have aggregation of harvest and even storage. So it's a whole one-stop shop for agro services in a local government. So the other one is the Greener Hope program. Also is similar to that of the Green Imperative, which will also, the Greener Hope has 1,000 service centers, and so that means the more the merrier. Like I said, if John Deere is bringing 2,000 a year, it will be only 10,000 in 5 years. Greener Hope also will seek to do similar to that, but what we need is more, and we're looking at other opportunities for others to participate in the mechanization program. The other aspect that I'd like to also mention here is we have mentioned that the farmer needs access to capital. This is one big impediment that the local farmer and the small-time farmer has. So we are looking at recapitalization of the Nigerian Agricultural Insurance Corporation and that of the Bank of Agriculture. The setup of Nigeria Agricultural Development Fund is also here. And we have the MD of NASAL. We, at the level of the ministry, we have had a joint meeting between NASAL, NatFund, and also Bank of Agriculture to see how we can help and incentivize our farmers by giving them access to low-interest funds. That is the key, low-interest funds. Farmers are willing to take, but when the interests are high, I think we have a way, because NASAL was also part of de-risking of lenders. So then the other challenges that we have is, apart from what I have mentioned, climate change and what have you, we also have the issue of migratory birds and cross-border pest control, and also infrastructural development. I'm happy that a lot of our members we have seen in the 2024 budget with a lot of constituency projects targeted towards agriculture, but we still need more from you. Hopefully when supplementary comes also, you can assist. So like I said, the issues are many, but I'll just round up. I'll give you issues like storage facilities, rural roads, market infrastructure, research and development. We are lacking in research and development. When you look at our research institutions are not heavily funded. They need a lot of funding, because what is key today is good variety of seed. Seed is the foundation of any agricultural situation. When you don't plant a good seed, no matter whatever you do, you can put all the best fertilizer and what have you, it will not yield the sufficient the yield that we're looking for. And especially today, we're looking at increase in yield per hectare, because we are, like I said, impacted on several things, that our land mass is shrinking, population is growing. So we need to, at least with the small land that is remaining, increase yield production. So there is also access to land. We need to prepare and develop a lot of land. Thank God
Honorable Minister.
We have.
Honorable Minister, you need 1 more minute.
I just want to talk of livestock. It's very important.
Oh, yeah.
Livestock reform is extremely
go ahead.
important.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I think we need to understand, because when you look at agriculture in itself, a lot of attention is being given to production, crop production, increase in yield. But livestock is another huge investment that we need to untap. And that will also mitigate what we call the farmers' hardest clash. We need to develop that. Mr. President will soon inaugurate a committee that will look into the implementation of the livestock reform that was submitted to Mr. President.
Is giving very valuable information. And we can only hear him in silence. And Nigerians are watching how we are paying attention to issues of food insecurity. Please let us maintain the level of decorum we've always maintained. He will be done soon, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. So that very soon, Mr. President would inaugurate the committee to look into the livestock reform. Then the other issue that I would like to mention here is the issue of collaboration with large-scale investors in the agricultural field. Yes, I know we've been talking about small-scale holder farmers, but those small-scale holder farmers are, apart from contributing into the food supply, but we're also empowering them and giving them opportunities to grow. But the large-scale farmers, we have seen that they have huge impact on the food security of this country, especially in these challenging times. So we are already in discussion with a lot of them, flour mills, Wakot, Afex, Olam, and the likes. There's also the issue of, I would like to mention this, we had an issue about 2 weeks ago. In fact, that is what is also creating the delay in rolling out of the dry season, the lack of fertilizer or the price of fertilizer that is becoming unaffordable to the local farmer. We had engaged our two main fertilizer producers of urea, Dangote Fertilizer and Indorama. Notori is another one, Notori, but it's not in production. What we came to see, Mr. Speaker and honorable colleagues, is that for the production of urea, gas is the #1 and the only feedstock for urea. And to our shock and surprise, that gas is priced at international market price in dollar. And we have engaged NMPC. First, there is no availability of gas. Second, there is also the issue of the pricing mechanism. So we pleaded, and then we discussed, and when NMPC has agreed to look into it, but we want the Honorable House to also assist so that this is a local resource. This is God-given resource to Nigeria. Why should it be priced at the international price? The other issue is that there is an agreement for those major urea manufacturers to supply 35% to domestic, and then 65% they can export. That 35% is enough to feed our industry. But they are not doing that simply because they said they don't have gas. Some of them have a capacity of 8,000 metric tons a day, but they could hardly meet up with 3,000. So they have other obligations in terms of loan repayments and forward contracts that they have signed with externally that they need to come up with. So we need NMTCL to supply gas to these manufacturers so that we can have, and then give them price for the 35%. They can charge them for external, but for the 35% that is for local production, we should be charged in an equitable price format. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues. I stop here, but I'm willing to take any questions or comments or concerns that may be raised from this hallowed chamber. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much. You may have your seat at the moment. We will call you again when the question time approaches. Thank you for your presentation. I'm sure members have generated questions from what you just gave. Members raising your hand, please wait. Question time will come. We have other presentation before we now go into question time. Still on agriculture, do we have the DG Nasra? Yes, let's have you make your presentation. And after that, we will have the Agricultural Trust Fund. Are you here? Yes, after that, we'll have you. And then before we'll have custom. Let it be on notice that we invited Minister of State, Agriculture, and Minister, and both of them are here. We also invited the Honorable Minister of Blue Economy. I think he's not here today. The Controller General of Custom is here. And the Director General, Nemaha. I don't know if he's here. Nemaha. And then Nasra. Bank of Agriculture and ADP. Let's hear from you, Nasra.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, Mr. Benjamin Kalu, and other honorable members of the House of Representatives. My name is Abbas Umar Masana. I'm the Managing Director, CEO of Nigerian Incentive-Based Risk Sharing for Agri-Lending. NISAL is a 75 billion non-bank financial institution which is wholly
The presentation is going on, please.
Which is wholly owned by Central Bank of Nigeria, created to stimulate the flow of affordable finance and investment to the agri sector. So ours is a specific role that we play, and the role we play is to de-risk agriculture because of the risky nature of business of agriculture. We know that the National Development Plan 2021-2025, almost 400 trillion is needed into agri space. And most of this funding is not coming from the federal government, it's not coming from the subnational, but it's coming from the private sector. So our role as NASA is to see how we can be able to stimulate the flow of investment into that agri space. So we de-risk agriculture. We don't provide low-interest agriculture, but we de-risk it.
Order, please.
In the sense that we stimulate, we go to the private sector, we want them to de-risk agriculture for them so they can be able to lend to agriculture. Because of that, in the past few years that we have been in operation, over 200 billion have been put from private sector into the agri space. And of course, apart from even the issue of stimulating that, we have what we call IDB, the interest drawback. So for those farmers who can be able to take their loan and pay on time, we can give them an interest drawback of up to 40%. And again, our is here we can be able to do smallholder farmer, specifically. Fundamentally, we have 5 major roles that we play. One is the credit risk guarantee, which we do with financial institutions, the private sector, so that we can be able to ensure that they put a lot of money into agri space. Secondly, we also do what we call technical assistance, technical training, how we can be able to, the whole value chain, from the upstream to the midstream to the downstream, from the farmer, smallholder farmer, to the exporter. How do we be able to fix the broken value chain so that there will be smooth flow of our investment into agriculture space? We all know that agri is a socio-economic responsibility. Yes, of course, it's a business, but you see a lot of private sector with that money supposed to come in could not be able to afford to lend to agriculture because there are some other competing needs. And that's the reason why, you know, they have to be stimulated so they can be able to lend to that private sector. So again, we have what we call the smallholder farmer activities that will go to the subnational. We have a lot of presence on the 36 states and Abuja, whereby our people are there to identify what are the comparative advantage of each state so that we can be able to intervene at NASA. We can be able to have an agri-job corps, how we can be able to develop farmers groups so that they can be able to get access finance from them. So basically our role is assessing finance into the agri space. And we have done more than 200 billion so far. And again, one of our fundamental pillars is also the issue of incentive. We incentivize. We can be able to incentivize all the value chain players across the value chain from the upstream to downstream. And also, we rate the performance of the value chain players in all and also develop innovative products because agri is a risky business. And that is the reason why CBN is on an innovative way, come with an institution like ours, risk sharing, incentive risk sharing, so that yet it's not a direct intervention, but it's an indirect intervention, whereby you ask the banks, you can come and lend to agriculture, and we're there for you to support you, we're there for you to guarantee whatever you lend to agriculture. So that guarantee is what we do. Give up to 75% guarantee to the smallholder farmers who lend, from 50 to 75%, and I said we also give interest rollback of up to 40%. And because of that, as I said, we have done a lot in ensuring that a lot of money, funds have gone into agri-space. And again, we have been in partnership with the Federal Ministry of Agriculture, the Federal Ministry of Trade and Investment, the National Agriculture Development Fund, and other key stakeholders to see what do we need to do. How don't we not work in silence? Because most of the problem that we have on the issue of food security is that most of these agencies of food security, they work in silos. And now see how can we be able to collaborate together so that we can work as a group in order to achieve Mr. President's agenda in terms of job creation, in terms of economic empowerment, in terms of youth development. So that's what we're doing in NISAL, and with that collaboration with different agencies of the Department of Government, I believe by the grace of God, we'll be able to reach the promised land, whereby the huge cost of food will be significantly reduced. Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much. You may have your seat. I'm sure questions have been generated in the course of your discussion. And members will ask those questions when the time arises. Agricultural Trust Fund, can we have you now? Make it as brief as his or even shorter.
Yes, sir. The Right Honorable Speaker, honorable members of the House of Reps, the Honorable Minister and the Honorable Minister of State, good afternoon. My name is Mohammed Ibrahim, and I am the Executive Secretary and CEO of the National Agri Development Fund. The National Agri Development Fund was enacted into law in November of 2022, and we came in to lead the agency in November of last year. So we are almost about 4 months old in office. The fund has been established to become the premier financing funding organization that is also agricultural-led in the country. So some of the functions, we have 9 very distinct mandates as our functions from the Act. Essentially, if I would summarize these functions, I would say it is to provide support in the form of finance and funds for the development of agriculture in Nigeria. In the last 3 months since we've been in office, we have tried to see that we have a 5-year strategy in place. We've been in the development of our roadmap that will help us catalyze investment into this sector. Some of the things we have done include going on a very intensive stakeholder engagement. We are presently in 3 committees with the Development Finance Department, along with NERSAL, and again from the ministry, again with NERSAL, BOI, and NAIC, so that we have a unified approach towards funding agriculture in this country. In terms of operationalization, we have looked at what all other funds in Nigeria are doing in terms of operationalizing their fund, the types of investment they do, so that we come out with products that are very attractive to farmers. We are very considerate of the development in the name, Development Fund, so we intend to match the commercial and the social. What we want to do is, one of the interesting parts of our act is that it mandates us to on-lend. So we do not give loans directly, but with the right funding structure, we will be able to on-lend through the banks and other financial institutions to make funding available to farmers. In the meantime, we have also gone ahead to look at a regional approach, in the sense that we have met with the 6 commissioners of Southwest, commissioners of agriculture, through the Dawn Commission, to understand the needs, what are the challenges, especially that have to do with funding agriculture. We are presently working with the AFDB to catalyze a funding structure for the 7 northwestern states, especially as that affects improved productivity of farmers. We have also engaged the development finance institution, development partner institutions, and are having a meeting next week on the 13th with the Donor Coordination Group. This is the group that the overall group, the overarching group for the donor funded partners. So we're making presentation to let them know that there is now an agricultural development fund that is also mandated to receive international partner donation and to utilize this towards the development of agriculture in Nigeria. We also have a generous thanks to the National Assembly, a generous input into our budget that will help us catalyze a seed capital to start out this fund. Mr. Speaker, that is my short presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. You may have your seat. I think it is now time for custom. Please pay attention. It's time for custom.
Thank you very much. The Deputy Speaker writes, the Speaker, principal officers of the House of Representatives, Chairman of Committee, and Mr. Speaker, sir, permit me to specially recognize the Chairman of the House Committee on Customs and Excise, Honorable Leke Abejide, under whose tutelage we had the distinguished privilege of having the Nigeria Customs Service Act. Very honorable members, if you allow me to also recognize my people from Osun State, and indeed all honorable members here, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. My name is Bashir Adewale Adeni, the Controller General of Customs, and it is my pleasure to be here in response to this national call to address this very important issue. Food security is a very important element of national security, and there is a strong realization of this when we see the policy thrust of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu that has clearly identified this agenda as one of the critical pillars driving the Renewed Hope program. And this also underscores the attention which this Honorable House has given this important subject. We are in a food security situation. Many Nigerians do not have enough to eat. Definitely,
silence, please.
So many of them lack the physical access. Good number of them lack the economic access to food, not to talk of whether they are eating the right kind of food at the right period. So we are in, therefore, this situation that calls for our concerted action. And as a responsible organization of government, we are currently in the middle of a number of operations. We are carrying out a number of exercises, measures in response to this emergency. I therefore appreciate this opportunity given to me to rub mind with you on some of those things that we are doing with the aim of taking some lessons. First, food security sits very, very solidly within the framework of the mandates of Nigeria Customs Service. There are three principal mandates: revenue generation, which we can use to fund government's programs, smuggling to prevent illicit smuggling of goods, including food items, and of course trade, which encompasses trade, cross-border trade in food items across Nigeria's border. So through a mixture of fiscal policies, special operations, and processes, we have put in place a framework that helps Nigeria Customs Service
to help drive the agenda of food security in Nigeria. Let's talk about the framework of fiscal policy. I am happy that the Honorable Minister of Agri that spoke before me talked about a number of measures which the ministry is taking, particularly in the provisions of inputs for crops and livestock. Most of these inputs are imported into the country. We have inbuilt into our tariff structure a defensive mechanism that grants very low rate of duty to most of these imported inputs. And if I have the time to just give some examples, fertilizers, which has been spoken about several times, we don't have local self-sufficiency. Fertilizer currently is zero rated. Nobody pays any duty on fertilizer. It's also exempted from VAT. We also have some machineries like tractors, harvesters, implements, and machineries for our feed mills. They are also zero rated. A few of them are on 5% rate of duty, but all of them have 0% VAT. We are happy to work with the National Assembly if even the 5% rate of duty would be reviewed further downwards to ensure that this would also be 0% rate of duty. We also have inputs like herbicides, insecticides, which are also imported at 5% rate of duty, but without VAT. We also have grains, seedlings, which the Honorable Minister also spoke about. A good number of them are done locally, but we have also seen from our system that a good number of these are also imported, and when they come in, they are subjected to 5% duty. We have seen so many state governments and many operators that are operating greenhouses, and when they bring them for agricultural development, they are zero rated presently. Now, in terms of enforcement, there are also fiscal policies that helps to ensure that foods that are imported, that are produced in Nigeria, are not illegally exported out of the country. We are currently in an operations all over Nigeria, which has resulted in the seizure of over 120 trucks across different border stations and border areas in the country. So, because we are in a state of emergency, we have received the directive to implement some kind of restrictions on the exports of critical food items, particularly grains. And this is what we have been implementing in the last 1 month to ensure that we have local self-sufficiency. Under the framework, under the auspices of the Office of the National Security Advisor, Nigeria Customs Service is also tasked to discuss with our stakeholders, particularly those who engage in large-scale off-taking of grains that are locally produced. So we are talking of our flour mills, breweries, and other companies that have been responsible for buying these stocks off our local markets. We've had discussions with them. Some of these things are also imported. And the discussions that we've had with them have resulted into their decision to stop off-taking these materials from the local farmers so that we can have these items diverted into the local markets. The intention of this is to crash the prices of this in the local market and reduce the pressure on our local currency. And as a fallout of that, I can also inform this Honorable House that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has made some executive decisions regarding what we should do with food items that are seized. Before, food items that are seized are usually auctioned out, disposed by public auction, or we send them to orphanages and IDPs. But for goods that are imported, illegally imported and are seized, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has directed that we should dispose of this item through direct sales to vulnerable Nigerians. We have kicked off this exercise in some parts of the country, and we believe that very soon we will get to other parts, taking our experience from the lessons that we have learned from the places where we have done it. And in terms of the food that are destined for exports that were arrested at the border stations, the President has directed that instead of seizing those items, we should find a way of getting those items back into the local markets so that it will also have some kind of, exert some kind of pressure on the price to help to drive down their prices. We will be starting that off in the next few days, and we are going to be doing that in the areas where the seizures are made. Now, we've had a number of suggestions about having quick fix for staple items, that possibly we should import some of these items. Well, as you know, these are critical fiscal policy decisions, but if we fall back to the kind of experience that we have about 10 years ago when we were in this kind of situation, when a kind of national self-sufficiency gap was determined, and the decision was made that we should import to bridge that gap. Our experience in the custom was that the implementation was not effective because beneficiaries of these waivers imported more than the quota, in excess of the quota they were given, and they did not pay the relevant tax on the excess that was given. This is why Mr. President has emphasized all along that the viable option for us and that we should pursue with determination is to achieve local self-sufficiency in the production of critical food items. And this is what we are determined to do, and we will be working with Mr. President and all the other agencies of government to ensure that we do not apply a quick fix solution to something that requires a long-term approach. And as I conclude, Mr. Speaker, I want to seek the understanding of members of the border communities, particularly in the places where we are currently implementing the closure of the border, to have understanding and exercise collective faith in Project Nigeria. What we are trying to do is to prevent hunger. We do not want to enrich some few ones amongst us who wants to take our food that are locally produced outside of the country. There are cases, reported cases of disturbances as recently as yesterday in some places in Katsina where local people are engaging security agencies because they want to force their way and take food items out of the country. I want to use this platform to appeal to them to exercise some restraint, that we will work out the modalities that will allow legal trade across our borders when the time comes for it. We request intelligence from them, we demand collaboration with them, and the conversations that I've had, even while waiting for this, between myself and the Minister of Agric and the various agencies has shown that better collaboration amongst ministries, departments, and agencies that are involved in ensuring food security will go a long way to stand us in a better step. Once again, I thank you for the opportunity. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I would like Sergeant at Arm to off the microphone on that desk. Off the microphone. Thank you. We have had the presentation and we are within time. We have 1 hour to ask questions and receive answers. And that is going to be divided into the four great minds who made their presentation. Minister of Agriculture and Food Security, the NISRA, the Trust Fund, and Customs. So, you have, in asking your question, 2 minutes. In that 2 minutes, you should be able to summarize and ask the questions. We are looking at getting at least a total of 20 questions. 20 questions by 2 gives you 40 minutes. And these 20 questions will be divided at least 5 for each presenter. And then the remaining 20 minutes will be used for them to address some of these questions. The idea is that by 2:30, we should be out of this place. Those in support of this say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. All right, let's have questions. When you stand, you let us know who you are directing the question to. I think I would like to have, because it borders on food security, let me have the chairman of food security ask the first question. Make it brief.
Thank you very much, the Right Honorable Speaker, very distinguished colleagues. My name is Honorable Chike John Okafor, PhD. I represent the good people of Ehimembano, Yituboma, Obo Federal Constituency. I'm from Imo State. My question will go to the Honorable Minister. Well, Mr. Speaker, permit me to let them also know that the House of Representatives 10th Assembly, ably led by Right Honorable Speaker Dr. Tajuddin Abbas, PhD, CON, also foresaw today and became very proactive and responsive and responsible with the creation of the standalone committee on nutrition and food security, which was formally inaugurated last week in an outing that also involved quite a number of the stakeholders. I have 2 minutes now. I have 2 minutes. I have not even taken 30 seconds.
Silence, please.
I'm aware that the ministry was invited. You were represented, but I wanted to place on record that the Honorable Minister of Planning and Budget was physically present, and that also further underscores the importance the government is attaching to this current situation. My question to you, sir, considering the fact
Honorable
that,
colleagues, if you spend so much time introducing yourself, you will eat into your time. So you have only 2 minutes. Straight to the question asked.
Considering the fact that farmers in neighboring states now prefer to cross over to neighboring countries to sell their products for very obvious reasons that border on the value of our currency, what measures are we putting in place to facilitate market linkages and improve access to domestic market for agricultural products? What we are doing to forestall that, so that to increase access of our products to domestic markets for agricultural products. Thank you very much.
Thank you. That have been noted. Please, can we have behind the man wearing the black cap? Yes, yes. Let's have your question. Straight to the point, please don't delay.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, my honorable colleagues. My question is directed to the Minister of Agriculture. But my name is Yusuf Kure Baraje. I am from Niger State, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Honorable Minister, sir, we would like to know how does the government intend to support Nigerian farmers in adopting these practices to enhance productivity and resilience to the impact of climate change and the variability. Again, what cross-sectorial collaboration or partnership are being pursued to support the implementation of climate-smart agricultural practices in this our great country in order to develop agriculture? Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Honorable Minister.
Thank you very much. This is how the question should go, just straight to the point. Then you ask Honorable Ginger. These cameras are blocking me. I'm coming down.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Very dear colleagues, my name is Ginger Obinna Onwusibe. I represent the people of Isialangwa North, Isialangwa South Federal Constituency. Mr. Speaker, my question goes to the customs, my question goes to the DG or Controller General of Customs. Let me start by commending Mr. President. Please, I want to lay a foundation, please. Let me lay a foundation, please.
You are 2 minutes. Your 2 minutes is going. Straight to the point.
The DG, please. Recently,
Bamidele Saddam, you are the next one to ask question. Bamidele Salam.
Recently, we saw you auction food items to Nigerians, especially in Lagos. And this is the first time I am seeing such things. Does it mean that this is the first time you are seizing food items? If this is not the first time you are seizing food items, what has been happening to the food items that were seized before? Thank you very much.
Honorable Bamidele Salam, please your question. Chairman Public Accounts Committee. We know who you are, straight to the point.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Bamidele Salam, the North and the South. First question to the Honorable Minister of Agriculture. Minister of Agriculture, you identified the gaps we have in the tractorization of our agri processes. 72,000 is the estimate.
Engineer Satomi, you are the next to ask.
But we have only 5,000. You are making effort to get 2,000 per year for another 5 years. I want to know if you have a collaboration with the subnationals on bridging this gap, because as good as your projections are, they are still not ambitious enough. If you say 2,000 every year for 5 years, the population keeps growing. In 5 years, the gap will no longer be 72,000. So what kind of partnership are you building with the subnationals and the private sector to improve on the tractorization, mechanization of our agriculture? And then the second one is to NISAL, the NISAL boss. I'm concerned about access to credit facilities by farmers, both the small farmers and the large-scale farmers. I've interacted with NISAL before, and I know how cumbersome your processes are. If they are frustrating to people even in our own cadre, I wonder what the small farm holders should be going through. How do you intend to simplify the processes so that we can have more access to funding for farmers? It is one of the germane issues affecting production in Nigeria. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. We took two from the left, now taking one from here. One more, Satomi, then we'll go back to this place.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
We are balancing it, all the regions of the country. We are balancing it, all the sitting arrangement of the country, of the parliament. So bear with me.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Engineer Satomi Ahmed, representing Nigeria, starting from Jere Federal Constituency. Mr. Speaker, my question first goes to the Custom Controller. Controller General. Thank you, Chairman. If you look at the food security issue we have in this country today, I'm sure it's not an issue of shortage, but has purely to do with purchasing power of the common man. If you cross-check the borders of this country, you will see food items and commodities are leaving this country. Do you have any mechanism to cross-check the evidence of effects? Since they are leaving the country, they're supposed to show you or have a correspondence with the bank to show you proof of effects either paid in SEPA or in dollars. Instead, people from neighboring countries have accounts in Nigerian banks. They sell the food in their own country and change the money to dollar, determining the Nigerian exchange rate, the black market. And at the end of the day, they will sell it to the same Nigerians and get the naira and get away with our own food. That's why the unprotected borders today, even our cattle, are being pushed to neighboring countries and to sell it double twice. This one is the customs duty to checkmate today. If you say that for every commodity that is leaving this country, if they will show you the evidence of their effects, drastically it will reduce by 90%. If your men have the right to check individual houses, even including myself, to seize cars that are not registered 6 years back, I see no reason why you will not trace such kind of commodities. And the government is now complaining. There's no money, no money. The customs have a lot of confiscated and seized items. Can't you come with a mechanism or policy like we have seen in the other part of the world to give a waiver for people to come and clear the non-contraband items so that government will get another source of funding or revenue to the coffers of the federal government.
10 minutes.
And then the Form M that the CBN are also complaining, it has to do with national economy, my colleagues.
10 minutes.
Look at it. If the Form M prepared by the government is attached to custom duty, let a person that will apply for money.
Satomi, your 2 minutes is over.
Let me protect you, sir.
Okay,
let me land.
Yes.
Please come up with a mechanism. I appreciate you initiated the single window forum where Form M will be attached to custom duties and tax and levies, so that individuals that are applying for Form M in CBN or in bank will pay, including the custom duties. All the lapses and the corruption will be checkmate through this process, and Nigeria will have enough money, and this thing will reduce by half the illegal applications in the Form M, those that are complicating the issue by...
Okay, Satomi. I think they have gotten the message. Thank you very much. Let me have Eshet from South.
Thank you, the People's Speaker. Mark Esset is my name, representing Uyo, Urwan Sretai, and Ibesiko Sultan, Federal Constituency of Akwa Ibom State. Mr. Speaker, the temper here is an indication that there is no need for long grammar. Honorable Minister to come, with all due respect and apology, I've listened to the Minister, he's telling us long term. Honorable Minister for Agriculture, the President did directed by November last year that palliatives should be made available to Nigerians. The ministry did award contracts, and those palliatives were awarded and were distributed to Nigerians. And up till now, payment has not been made. Will you tell this Honorable House that the ministry is supportive of the President's desire to solve this food insecurity in Nigeria? That is number one. Two, to the DG of Custom. You've told us here, Honorable DG, see whether Custom Controller General, whatever, etc., etc. Please, let me ask the question.
No, address our guests.
Yeah, please. CG My second question is to you.
Excuse me, we must address our guests in their right title.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Please, we are one government, though we are three arms of government. Let us accord respect to all the officers of government who are here. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Custom General or Controller General of Customs. The President did directed, just as you've told us here, that all the food items seized be sold to the vulnerables at a very minimal price. And you've told us you've started in Lagos. You have all your zonal directors or DGs. You have in Kano, you have in Kaduna, you have in Akwa Ibom, all the states. You've seized all these food items. What stops you from giving directives simultaneously that they be sold? When wait for Lagos to finish before you come to Akwa Ibom, before you go to Abia State, before you go to Kaduna, you are still creating more problem. This bureaucratic bottleneck is the cause of why Nigerians are suffering. I believe if the same way you are selling in Lagos, Akwa Ibom is also selling, Kaduna is selling, Imo is selling, it will reduce this food scarcity. Mr. Speaker, that is my question. Why have you not implemented the President's directive? Thank you.
Thank you. I think Eshed is transferring the passion from the constituents on his shoulder. But we'll do it properly. We are coming. We have moved here. We are doing two here. We'll come back here. So let me hear from the deputy spokesperson of the House, Philip Abase, from North Central.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, distinguished honorable colleagues. My name is Congressman Philip Agbese. I represent the good people of Ado Okpoku, Ogbadigbo Federal Constituency. Mr. Speaker, I am from Benue State. My question will be directed at the distinguished honorable minister. Mr. Speaker, sir, before now, we've had series of complaints by corporate organizations who transact businesses with the Ministry of Agriculture. Just closely to what Right Honorable Eshed mentioned earlier, I would like the Right Honorable Minister, the distinguished Honorable Minister, to brief this House what the Ministry of Agriculture is doing to ease the burden of Nigerians transacting businesses with the Ministry of Agriculture, vis-a-vis the refusal of the ministry to make payments as at when due to contractors who carry out their legitimate businesses with his ministry. I so submit, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. That was straight to the point. Can we hear from Honorable Ku? Okay, I've seen Chairman Custom here. Let's hear from you, Chairman Custom. Ask your question.
My question is not to custom. My question is not to custom. And it can also be to custom as well. Honorable Kabej is my name. I represent the good people of Yagba East, Yagba West. I'm from Kogi State. My first question goes to the Honorable Minister. During the Second Republic, under the late President Shehu Shagari, he built dams across all the regions, all the zones, including my own federal constituency. There is a community called Ome. The dam is very big. It was built for dry season farming. But as I speak to you, it's not being used. And I know that is not only the place the dam was built. So what do we do to this? The second question is, as you have said in your presentation, agric is one of the areas that members or people in government can participate. How do we get support if we want to go into mechanized farming system. Like me, I just acquired 330 hectares, measured for mechanized system for my constituents. How do they benefit from the largesse of the Ministry of Agriculture?
All right.
That's the second one. The last one is for NISA. NISA, you have disbursed a lot of billions of nairas to the people without, yeah, I know. It happens in the Night Assembly. I know so many people that got this money from NISA, but as we speak, most of them have not paid back. How do you trace them so that others can equally benefit from this? But I will not ask custom question because you say I'm chairman custom. Otherwise, I would have said the exchange rate fluctuation. How does it help customs?
No, keep standing.
No, it's not customs' fault.
It's all right. Excuse me. We didn't ask you to defend customs. Stand. You are still standing. Since you stood up to ask questions, the questions many members have been asked, I want to ask you again if you are going to address it or if you are going to push it to custom. And the question is that Parliament is the closest to the people, and palliative get to them quickly and easier if it passes through them. We only read in the media that custom is selling rice, and some of them have mentioned it here, without any information to the Parliament. When we ask you, when we summon you and we ask you, as the House Committee Chairman on Custom and Exercise, that our constituents are asking us for this rice that is being distributed everywhere, you don't have any answers for us. We want to ask you that question. Do you also read from the media, or do you have this information from the CG and you are hiding it from the House? Do you want to answer that, or do you want to push it to the CG?
I'm going
because
to
you stood up to ask questions.
CG will answer completely. I think CG will answer better, and then from here I will discuss with him.
No, no. So CG, include it to the questions you are going to answer.
That question.
All right, thank you very much. Yes, Honorable Sada Soli, please.
Mr. Speaker, I have two questions. One is to the Ministers of Agriculture. I don't know what you are doing to provide support in the area of rural infrastructure and land tenure system, which are very integral factors in agriculture and food security. Now, the second question goes to the customs. I'm from border community. I know our relationship with the customs services is very cordial, very friendly, although with some little frictions here and there, one over time. Having been on the border town for 6 decades now, I can categorically say some of your men, they hinder free movement of goods and services on the border communities. And we have 200 border communities from 139 local governments from 21 states across the country. Yes, I don't know what you are doing in order to improve the relationship between the border communities and the customs services in order to ease free movement of goods and services within the country. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We've taken 2 from here, so we are going back here. We've taken two from here, we're coming here. Leadership, wait. Leadership, wait. Let us hear from those we are leading. Please, just wait. Let us hear from those we are leading. Let me hear from my in-law. And after that, Kelechi walk. Kelechi, you're not my in-law. Sit down.
I'm the in-law. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My name is Amina Jamo Daura, representing Daura and the Women Adwa Federal Constituency. I'm from Kaduna State. I'm from a border town, Mr. Speaker. My question is to Controller General of Customs. Is the movement of goods within the country prohibited? Because our people, as you stated in your address, that is a restriction between your officers and the people of my constituency. Because, as I said earlier in this forum, in this chamber, our people have been harassed innocently. We are not against legal duty of your men, but our people have been constantly harassed, even within the normal local businesses. Traditionally, our people are local traders. They go to Kano, they go to Kuntua, buy goods and bring. They go to, no, they don't go to Niger. Within the borders, even last week, there are these cases of seizures when people go into Ndume to buy goods to Meadwa, particularly. I think that is what you are referring to. And then there is a serious coded relationship. But activities of some of your men at the border towns is unprofessional. I want to call your attention to the unprofessional conduct of some of your men around the border community. So, Mr. Controller General, I want to call your attention to those things happening. There are local businesses, weekly markets, like on Sundays in Adwa, which I know you know. Normally, our people are being harassed innocently. So, my question and my plea to you, sir, is to look at this, most especially between the border towns. And we know where the border ends. My second question is the Honorable Minister of Agriculture. Mr. Honorable Minister, sir, why is 13% being charged on food items? That is my question, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much. Let's hear from Chris Nkwanta, please.
Thank you. 15. Why is 15% being charged on food items?
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My name is Honorable Chris Nkwanta, and I represent the good people of Okwa East and West Federal Constituency in Abia State. Mr. Speaker, I have two questions. One for the Minister for Agriculture, and the second for the Controller General of Customs. Mr. Minister, I listened to you very attentively, and you mentioned...
Please allow them to listen to the question. In-law, stop stopping them so that they can hear the question.
You gave a litany of reasons why we are in our current state of food insecurity. You talked about insecurity, you talked about COVID, and you also talked about the rising level of the seed and the Naira redesigned policy of the central bank as factors that actually contributed to the food crisis that we have today. The question I want to ask is this. COVID started in 2020 and to a large extent ended in 2020. What were the recovery measures that were put in place? Number two, also for the minister, insecurity was there during the time of Jonathan. Insecurity, in fact, that was one of the reasons why Jonathan was not re-elected. Insecurity was there for the 8 years that President Buhari was in power. Insecurity was there, or is still there till today.
What are we doing about insecurity in this country? Because if you don't have security, farmers will not feel free to go and harvest or plant their crops. Now, you did also mention that you are bringing in tractors and fertilizers.
Okay,
and
round
for
up.
me, this marks of policy inconsistency. When you came in, what did you inherit? What is our policy? Are we just going to be adopting these stopgap ad hoc measures? That's for the Minister for Agriculture. Now, for the Controller General of Customs, you've told us that all agricultural equipment attract 5% duty. Very good. And you are looking at a policy of bringing it down, and there's zero VAT. How do you determine the rate of duty? If it's 5%, why are you using the current exchange rate to determine the duty that should be paid? Why don't you use the exchange rate that was agreed on the Form M at the time the order was placed? Because what that means is that prices in the market keep moving up and down. If you want to buy something and they say, no, wait, let us know the exchange rate that customs will use. This is for goods that maybe may have been ordered about 2-3 months ago, and when they arrive, you now apply the current exchange rate. These are my questions. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Let's have Honorable Kuye.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My name remains...
After Kuye, Deputy Chairman, House Rules and Business.
My name remains Ademori Aliu Kuye, speaking for the good people of Shomolu Federal Constituency from Lagos State, the Chairman of Committee on Public Assets. Honorable Minister, I would like to know, Nigerians would like to know the strategies that are being employed by your ministry to promote value addition and agro-processing industry to boost contribution to the country's GDP. 2, sir, before crude oil, Nigerians said Nigeria built so many universities, University of Ife, ABU, UNN, and all of that, from agri-produce. We had the highest GDP in Africa from food-producing industries all over the country. Ikeja Industrial Estate in Lagos, Sharada Industrial Estate in Kano, and all over like that. Now, most of them are leaving due to our cost of agric produce and even the poor supplies from farmers. This high cost of agric produce have been attributed to the huge cost that farmers incur in even clearing the land and provision of cheap fertilizers. I'm aware that the federal government invested hundreds of billions into presidential fertilizer initiative. They gave 100 million to most of those industries. And investigation revealed that most of these industries are selling to middlemen who hoard and sell at higher prices to farmers, making access to those fertilizers. Please, what are you doing to help farmers? To take away the cost, the high cost, or reduce the high cost of production, and then link the farm settlement in the rural areas through infrastructure to the market and to these industries. Lastly, sir, to the Controller General. I was in US some times ago, not too far from now, and I saw a container, offloading agri-produce by a Nigerian. And I asked him, this must be fetching you a lot of money. And he said, yes.
Okay, round up.
Thank you, sir. I'll just round up now with this question. And I discovered from my interaction with him that most of them are actually exporting this thing through Ghana, through Republic of Benin. And my question is that what is responsible for this diversion? And what can we do to prevent it? Thank you, sir. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you very much. Deputy Chairman, Rules and Business.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, distinguished colleagues. I am Bele Isa Ambarura, member representing Ilela Guadabawa Federal Constituency. Mr. Chairman, I'm from Sokoto State. Mr. Chairman, my question goes to the Controller of Custom. This question was Controller. I've been necessitated to ask this question because I'm from the border town, Ilela. Let me know what the customs are doing today, particularly to those people at the border town. For instance, recently, we have experienced a lot of harassment and intimidation of our businessmen in Lela. Why? Because there is no, let me advise that, the custom should please kindly embark on adequate enlightenment on the contraband and non-contraband items. This lack of classification or enlightenment is the one that can push our people to embark on illegal business, particularly those people in the border town. So, Mr. Controller, I'm appealing to, or I want to know what you people are doing to really enlighten our people, particularly in the border towns, on contraband and non-contraband items. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Kelechi Nwogo.
The right Honorable Speaker, I remain Honorable Kelechi Nwogo, representing the people of Ichie, Omoma Federal Constituency. Right Honorable Speaker, my question goes to the Controller General of Customs. First, we are aware that Mr. President directed that the grains being released. Now, my question is this. Who satisfies these grains? Now, because they've been with you for a long time, and you have been directed to release them. So, who satisfies these grains for you to release them and to confirm that these grains are being fit for consumption? That's number one. And what is your relationship with the agricultural quarantine services? That's two. And finally, I want you to tell this honorable house, especially our great speaker, because I heard you said that you are directed to sell these items. Now, I want to ask you to tell this house, before the honorable members representing their various constituencies, were you directed to sell these goods, or you are directed to give them freely? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much. Communicator.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Dear colleagues, our invited guests, my name is Honorable Kaleja Adeboye Paul. I represent the good people of Acheromi Felodun Federal Constituency, the Benin, Nigeria. I'm from Lagos State, the state of aquatic splendor. I have two questions. One is to ask whether we have border closure in all parts of Nigeria, or there are discriminatory border closures. Two, to also know from the Minister of Agric.
Honorable Chris Nkwanta, have you got an answer to your question?
To also know from Minister for Agric and Food Security,
how well he's in control of his ministry in terms of the attitudinal behavior of the civil servants. That related also to say that what is the information machinery of your ministry doing in terms of letting Nigeria know the good programs that you have in terms of both short, medium, and long term? Because I listened to you and I come to understand very clearly that you have a good roadmap and you have programs that will alleviate food issues and sufferings in Nigeria. You need to do a lot in terms of enlightening Nigerians as to what you have for them. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. A lot of questions for Honorable Minister of Agric. There are a lot, and I think you should address them. This first phase, I've not seen question going for NISRA, very little. I've not seen question going to Agricultural Trust Fund, so you use up their time while answering. But let me drop this. What is the status and implementation level of the state of emergency on food security since it was delivered or declared in July 2023? Honorable Minister, let us know about the state. What is the status on that state of emergency that was declared in July 2023? And we'll also want the Controller of Custom to also look at questions bordering on few issues on agriculture, which we are going to raise after the Minister of Agriculture must have answered. Members, a lot of you have questions, and to be honest, if we keep asking this question, we will not leave here today. Your questions are very important, but we need to give them time to address the question. Honorable Minister, please.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Distinguished members of the House of Representatives. My first question is from Honorable Okafo, Chairman Food Security. You spoke about what measures are we taking to forestall leakages of cross-border market leakages. Like I mentioned earlier, I must commend the active and diligent officers of the Nigerian Customs for doing such a marvelous job, especially within the last 1 month. We've heard the CG has mentioned that they have apprehended 120 trucks in just a matter of a few days. But basically what it is that, let me say this, export is good for the country, but only when something is derivable from it in terms of what government can derive from it. We are doing as much as possible to ramp up production so as to see, especially in some of the crops that are foreign exchange yielding, like soya beans, like sesame, like hibiscus. And in fact, even for those in the cocoa producing areas of Southwest, South, and also some places in the Northeast, especially Taraba, we are going to roll out the cocoa program very soon. In fact, there's even a seminar tomorrow, as I'm speaking to you, in Akure, in Ondo State, in respect of cocoa. Let me just jump over also to Honorable Yusuf, when he asked about how does government intend to support farmers in the phenomenon that is called climate change. Climate change is here to stay, and it is for real. And we have seen several issues that we don't have a choice but to adapt to climate change. Irregular pattern of rainfall is also as a result of climate change. So we believe that working together with the National Council on Climate Change and NIMET, and also the adaptation of climate-smart agriculture. We have a department in the Federal Ministry of Agriculture right now that is in charge of climate change. So we are working, we've been working with other multilateral agencies also to see how we can mitigate the effects of climate change. We have so many programs today that are also in charge of reclaiming even some land that was destroyed as a result of some of these issues like flooding and insecurity. The next one is from Chairman Public Accounts. You mentioned the issue of characterization. On the one I said we have, with the need for is minimum of 72,000, and I'm sure, yes, when I mentioned that we have 10,000 in 5 years from John Deere, this is by no means, this is the MOU that we have signed, and there's room for also increasing that. And like I said, we all have other programs that are in place, and we, in fact, we will be in Niger on Thursday to support the governor in launching his 1,000 tractors of John Deere, of which he has delivered 300 already. And we have been talking and engaging with governors in the whole agricultural space, not only for mechanization, but also for land development and also for cultivation of farmlands. So we have a buy-in, we have a team, we had a team of governors that came, which was led by the chairman of the Nigerian Governors Forum for that effect. We have seen a lot of commitment from the present governors on the need to take adequate attention on what we have today in food insecurity. Honorable Clement Jumbo, on the issue of payments of the palliatives. I'm not aware that any payment has been denied. All requests that were verified have been paid. And as I'm talking to you, I believe I can send the Honorable Speaker the list of those that have been paid. But one other challenge that we have is this is an award, it's a contract award, and it has to go through the procurement process. Not that we are delaying it, but I will say even for the betterment of the honorable members of the National Assembly, simply because there are a lot of inconsistency in some requests. We have over 700 requests, awards that were issued. And that way, for us to verify who the actual owner of that contract is also a Herculean task. But we would appreciate if we can have a letter saying that this is the person that is who had handled the contract. And like I said, these are procurement issues. Items must be supplied before payment is being done. And like I said, all verified contracts and awards have been duly been paid. But if there are any issues that anyone has, please, you can send somebody to me and we will see to it that we will we'll carry it through. Honorable Agbese, well, that is actually what we are talking about, similar in terms of payments. Once items are verified, I think payments are not a problem. Then the other question, yes, we have I believe is to do with what the largest that we have today, what our agric is, what are they doing? Well, first let me straighten out one information. Yes, we are working together with Federal Ministry of Water Resources. The dams belong to the Ministry of Water Resources. They are the operators, and like I earlier mentioned in my presentation, that we have been working together in trying to ease some of the problems that our farmers have faced. In fact, case in point, I remember 2 weeks ago from Jibia Dam that they have the Federal Ministry of Water Resources or the river basin in charge did not release
He's
water,
rounding up, please. Let's be
and I had
attentive.
to engage the Honorable Minister on that issue. So there's also the issue of Ome Dam. That I will make that reference to Federal Ministry of Water Resources on that. Honorable Sadasoli, yes, you've mentioned the issue of support rural infrastructure. I have mentioned one of our greatest problems now today is land development and rural infrastructure. I'm happy that at the last FEC, the National Agricultural Land Development Agency Authority, NALDA, has been returned to the Federal Ministry of Agriculture, but I'm sure pending the amendment of the law and the submission of the President to the National Assembly on the amendment of the law, and which I'm sure the Honorable House will also do that graciously. We have an issue of development of land, and also the issue of the rural infrastructure. Like I said earlier, I am pleased to see a lot of inclusion in the 2024 budget on issues of opening up the rural area for land roads. Then the issue of the land tenure system. I was in the World Food Prize Foundation Day in Iowa in October, and we met, and there was a presentation by the newest state in India. It's called Telangana State, and we are in constant touch now because they have a land tenure system that has really worked. In India, they made it in such a way that a family can go down 3-4 generations owning that particular farmland. So that gives them comfort, and that gives them that aspect that that land belongs to the family and belongs to them. I have reached out to a lot of commissioners of agriculture in various states, and we're also planning a trip to that particular state so that we can see precisely what kind of method that they use so that we can transfer it. We have a similar system in terms of the traditional land tenure system we have here in Nigeria. Is also similar to that of India. Honorable Aminu Jamo, you talked about excessive, well, I think let me just lay, this is, I think, movement of good food internally went to the CG of Customs, but I want to also mention here that we have seen excessive tolling by security agencies along our roads. Case in point, Honorable Bello Kauji, the chairman of Agriculture Production, is aware that I had cause to get in touch with him, and also His Excellency, the Governor of Kebbi State, where a span of 180 kilometers, a trailer is being charged 600,000 naira by various security agencies along the road, from civil defense to you name it, everything. So everybody is like, they put a toll and they charge, but at the end of the day, just one trailer is being charged 600,000. And these are not something that comes to the coffers of the government. This is very, very serious issue, and I'm happy to report that immediately His Excellency, the Governor of Kebbi State, swung into action and he arrested that situation, and now I'm sure it's over now. So that way we have, but still, even local governments have some excessive charges, but some states in recent times I have seen, because of the food insecurity that we have faced, have suspended the collection of local government funds from these local governments from their states. So the other issue is the issue of 13% importation. Some of these levies, like for instance the wheat levy. The wheat levy is there as a policy to develop the local capacity of wheat production. I'm happy to say for the first time we have achieved over 100,000 hectares in a very long time. And from the success that we have achieved, now the African Development Bank is funding additional, so that at the end of 2024 we will have 250,000 hectares of wheat cultivated. So these are the wheat levies that is saddled at the either the Bank of Industry or the Central Bank of Nigeria, that it goes into the support of the local production of wheat. Honorable Okwanta mentioned about recovery measures. Well, like I said, all these measures that I have are, in a sense, to really ramp up production. We have, yes, in the past, there's a lot of programs from the ones, anchor borrowers and the rice pyramids, but Nigeria is a large country. We have almost 230 million people. At independence, we were roughly about 42 million people. Today, 64 years later, we have grown maybe fourfold. So it's a country that is growing very rapidly, but also the land is shrinking. Like I have mentioned, desertification from the north, coastal erosion from the south, flooding in the middle belts and some riverine in the riparian areas, and also the issue of insecurity and what have you. So the issue is that the land is shrinking. So what we need, and even habitation, population habitation, is actually affecting. If you remember, in those days, long time ago, I'm sure most of us can remember the practice of shifting cultivation, where today you farm on this plot of land, to next year you move, so that you allow the farm to rebirth and refertilize. But today, because of unavailability of land, nobody practices shifting cultivation anymore, because everybody is in demand for the very few land that is available. So we are doing a lot. And in terms of insecurity, like you asked, Mr. President has given the go-ahead for the revampment of the forest rangers and also the agro rangers. Just last week, I had interaction with the Commandant General of the Nigerian Civil Defense Corps on the need to reactivate and in collaboration with the states, the issue of the agro rangers. So that is in itself in the advanced stage of development. Then the issue of tractors, well, I've mentioned that, and states are also in collaboration with the state governments and with the federal government to ramp up the mechanization program. And like I said, the two programs that are, the three actually, two of them will have service centers in all local governments. And the other one is actually 1,000 service centers. So we're looking at service centers that also takes care of both tractorization and, like I said, aggregation of agro commodities. The Chairman, Public Assets, Honorable Kuye, has mentioned what strategies do we employ on the issue of agro-processing. Right now, we have a program, it's called the Special Agro-Processing Zone, SAPZ. It is also funded by the African Development Bank, the Islamic Development Bank, and also by IFAD. And locally, we have recently MOFI will participate. The phase 1 has already started in 7 states plus FCT, and phase 2, we have sent out expression of interest, and all states have actually expressed interest. Some states have even gone ahead on their own. Ogun State is very far into the SAPZ program. Gombe State is also initiating on their own without having to wait for the program for phase 2 to kick in. So what that seeks to do is you take the zone to the peri-urban areas, not in the urban areas, not in the state capitals, to peri-urban areas where there will be production, there will be aggregation, and also processing to add value to some of our goods. We can't be, up to now, we exporting, for instance, soya beans in its raw form, while when you process it and you have oil and you have the cake, they bring double. And you are exporting only one item that is inside, both items are inside, and they are giving only just one sector of the amount of money, while you can actually achieve double when you do processing. So,
all right, before you sit, please, I received a few questions from the members which you can answer from there. One is, Honorable Minister, have you considered a partnership with the Parliament in the area of solving food insecurity in the country? If yes, what are the plans? Secondly, AFDB, African Development Bank, is proposing $2.7 billion to support agricultural development. How do you intend to get this money to the Nigerian people? The third one says, timely implementation of agri-policy affected food security and production in Nigeria. Honorable Minister, you should tell Nigeria your preparation for intervention for the wet season famine with specific time definition, because wet season famine will be here soon. Then I think this one is for the custom. So we'll wait for when custom comes. Then finally, Honorable Minister, there's another one that says in 2018, the Federal Ministry of Agriculture entered into a memorandum of understanding with John Deere for provision of 10,000 units of farm tractors over a span of 5 years. These tractors were intended to be assembled within Nigeria. Subsequently, in January 2019, the Nigerian government initiated the Green Imperative Program in collaboration with the More Food International Program of the Brazilian government. The objective of this initiative was to offer support to small-scale farmers through mechanization efforts. As part of the partnership, Brazil committed to funding the project with a total sum of $1.1 billion, spread across a period of 15 years. The aim was to supply Nigeria with 10,000 tractors. However, neither of these tractors assembly, their tractor assembly or supply program has commenced in Nigeria, and they are asking, what is the current status of this proposed intervention? So these are some of the questions for the minister. If you can just in 2 minutes, because you have gone beyond your time, touch this before we go to custom.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, the honorable colleagues. The issue of collaboration with legislature on, of course, the palliatives that were rolled out, like what was asked question earlier, the ones in December. But more so, let me address the issue that has happened recently in terms of the 42,000 metric tons. Like I said, the problem that we found ourselves in the issue of the high insecurity in food was that we had a tripartite arrangement where National Emergency Management Authority, NEMA, has the index of vulnerability persons around the country. This is something that they do at all times, and they have the current index. And they also have the mechanism and the the infrastructure to move these huge items and to take them to their warehouses before they now move into the vulnerable persons. So we have solid storage silos, and we don't have in every state. And especially Bonema has an office in every state with storage and also the staff that will do the distribution. The distribution aspect I've made to understand also includes religious leaders, local leaders, security agencies, civil societies, and media. There's a long list of people that are going to be involved in this sharing of and distribution of the 42,000 metric tons of assorted grains. The assorted grains are maize, sorghum, millet, and gari. So they will be, I'm sure they should be through by now, and I'm sure very moment from now, the items will be distributed. The issue of the 2.7 billion.
So Chairman Agriculture, take notes so that the House will participate fully here. Please, Chairman Agri, take notes of what he's saying. The members who would like to participate in that. So once he's saying they are ready, so we need communication from you ASAP on the implementation.
Okay. Then the issue of $2.7 billion of the AFDB fund, I'm sure it's the one that is made up of the 500, I do not have the exact figures, but about $500 million for the SAPZ phase 1. Then we have also the $134 million for the NAG's agro pocket project that I have just mentioned, the dry season and the wet season, impacting on about 6 different crops. Then the $1.5 billion for the SAPZ part phase 2. That's the ones that I'm aware, and I believe that's the ones that, I don't know if HMS, do you have any other, because I think that is it. That's what we have on our table now, unless there's anything new that will come by the way of AFDB. We must commend AFDB and the President for giving us this opportunity for such laudable interventions. Then the preparations for the wet season. We have, like I said, even the discussions that we have gone with Indorama and Dangote Fertilizer to supply urea to our local blenders, and also our discussion with NSIA, who is in charge of the Presidential Fertilizer Initiative, both phase 1 and phase 2, is actually in line with our preparation. We want to have all our inputs ready at least way before the advent of the wet season. Today we have received donated potash of 34,000 metric tons from Russia. Potash makes about 16% of NPK, and we have agreed with our local...
Order, please. Please.
We had a tripartite agreement, an arrangement, and we're seeking for presidential approval or consent on the way that potash is supposed to be handled. We, with the NSIA, Federal Ministry of Agriculture, and also the FEPSAN, which is the Fertilizer Blenders Association of Nigeria, who have about 80 members, or 85 members to be exact, have agreed to collect the 34,000 metric tons of potash and blend and give us NPK 2010-10, 37,000 metric tons, free of charge. And there's no encumbrance on it, and we are going to collect these 37,000 metric tons of 50 kg of NPK 2010-10 to be distributed free of charge to our local farmers. John Deere, yes, John Deere was here before. They mentioned to us, but they have also mentioned that they have never seen that kind of commitment in the past. Today they came, they met the Vice President, they met Mr. President. They also came to the office, our office, and we signed an MOU. And they are here, like I said, they will be arriving today for us to meet tomorrow morning on the second phase of our engagement. and they are to produce, to assemble these tractors internally in the country. They have a joint arrangement with Tata Motors, and Tata has an assembly plant in Lagos, in Lekki, and they are going to, for the first year, use that before they now go to the zones and set up the assembly plants for onward assembly to the communities.
Thank you. Just 1 minute, Chairman Agric. Chairman Agric, you should not be distracted. The issue he's raising now, we want you to do a state of affairs on that MOU and the extent of implementation so far, and report back to the House. It's one of your committee duties. We want to know the stage of that MOU, the implementation they have done so far, the state of affairs. And this is entering into the resolution of the House. All right?
The second one is the GIP that you just mentioned.
Sorry, the time for you to report 4 weeks, state of affairs on that relationship, and report back to the House.
The Green Imperative program, like I earlier mentioned in my presentation, Mr. Speaker, is something that has been on the table for the past 6 years, and it has never seen the light of day except now. Like I said, the Brazilian government were here about 3 weeks ago with the Deutsche Bank representatives, who are the financiers. The Brazilian government is in collaboration with Deutsche Bank, will supply these tractors. It's not only for tractorization, it's not only mechanization. Like I said, they are also going to give extension services, which is extension workers. Today we have a dearth of extension workers in the country. Extension workers are very key, because those are the ones that teach our common local farmers the agronomy practices and how to handle, issues of cultivation and weeding, pesticide and fertilization and what have you. So it's very key, because that is very important for yield improvement. So not only that, they are also to give other support services, like I said, aggregation and even storage. So the GIP will be launched very soon. Mr. President is really, really interested and has given us the mandate to fast track the issue of the GIP, and I'm sure it will be, I have even, the special assistant to Mr. President on Agriculture, Honorable Abiodun Yunusa, is here. Actually, he's the one that is driving that GIP program. So with that, Mr. Speaker, we believe we're going to achieve a lot in the nearest future.
Thank you very much. We're going to release you now, but I just want to go into multi-sectorial engagement, collaboration between you and, recently the president, last year during the declaration of state of emergency on food security in Nigeria, the president, Ahmed Bola Tinubu, directed that Nigeria Agricultural Land Development Agency, NAODA, to do land opening on 500,000 hectares. He made that declaration for smallholder farmers. What is the progress report on that? Especially now that NAODA is now under your ministry. Before now, it was not under your ministry.
No, before now it wasn't. Even now, they have not reported yet, so I believe, I don't know at what level of preparation they are, at what percentage.
You mean up till now, NAODA has not reported to you?
No, they have not.
They are not working on the Ministry of Agriculture?
No.
They are not what?
But it was at the last FEC meeting that was announced to the world that based on the Orosanya report, that some ministries, some agencies were merged, some were transferred, and it was on that NALDA was relocated to the Federal Ministry of Agriculture.
Okay, the process is still on.
It's still on.
With that announcement, Committee on Agriculture, we need to find out the state of affairs on the declaration of Mr. President for that 500,000 hectares that's supposed to be open. Look into it, but do that jointly with Committee on Special Duties, because that is where they are at the moment. and then report back to us also in 4 weeks. Honorable Minister, the issue of food security requires multi-sectorial approach. What efforts is the Minister making in collaborating with various research and agric institutions across the country, and also other institutions like BOI? You know, are you in talks, in discussion with them for them to finance agricultural projects? Because agro-processing companies need money, and this is the time for all these institutions to prioritize, you know, food security and lend more money to these kind of operations that will help us reduce food insecurity. Is there any communication in that field? And also capacity building for the Bank of Agriculture. We have not really felt the impact of Bank of Agriculture as it's supposed to be in line with their mandate. And I also am aware that African Development Bank is doing something with regards to building capacity of the Bank of Agriculture in Nigeria. Any update on that currently?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Speaker. On the issue of Bank of Agriculture, like I mentioned earlier, it's at the National Council on Privatization, chaired by His Excellency the Vice President, Senator Kashim Shettima, that has mandated and set up a committee, of which I'm also a member. The chairman is the Minister of Finance and the Coordinating Minister of the Economy, and the BPE and other MOFI and other central bank is also there. The Bank of Agriculture actually is owned by 60% by MOFI and 40% by Central Bank of Nigeria. We, as Federal Ministry of Agriculture, are the mandate operators of the Bank of Agriculture. So recapitalization is ongoing. The issue here is that the bank has been moribund for quite some time, but recently, through the intervention of Central Bank, some of the loans of NASAL was passed on to the Bank of Agriculture, and as I'm talking to you, they have recovered almost 38% out of the 95 billion naira outstanding debt. They have recovered about 30-something billion, so remaining about 60-something billion as we speak. The recapitalization efforts is in high gear. We have had 2 meetings so far, and I believe very soon the recapitalization effort of Bank of Agriculture, we look forward to that, because that is one way that we can have farmers have access to financing, which is one of the critical factors of agriculture. And like I mentioned before, we have had meetings with NASA, National Agricultural Development Bank, NADFund, and Bank of Agriculture, and NAIC, to work out an arrangement in the interim before the recapitalization of Bank of Agriculture. Bank of Industry, we have not made that inroad simply because we are looking at very, very low interest rate that is manageable by farmers. So, but I know yesterday we had a meeting with Master Bakers and Confectionaries of Nigeria, the association, and they also mentioned to us that the wheat levy is domiciled at the Bank of Industry, and we're going to try and see and collaborate with them to see how we can unlock that wheat levy to support our farmers and also support our Master Bakers and Confectionaries Association. So,
thank you very much. I think you've done a good job. While you are sitting down, we encourage Bank of Industry to focus on poultry, you know, so that it can be a substitution for the importation of poultry products. So it is the desire of this House to ask the Bank of Industry, in collaboration with your ministry, to begin to look at ways of improving the poultry industry, so that we can increase more, you know, in that field, you know, with regards to egg powder production, processing plant, feed mills, and boiler and layer farms and all that. That space, we need more money there. Those who are in such businesses, they should receive intervention from the Bank of Industry. And also, Blue Economy is not here today. Hopefully we are going to have him in some time to come. Issues bordering on our fishing industry. you find out that we are losing about $70 million every year, $70 million every year. And this is because of illegal fishing in our waters. And, but you won't blame Blue Economy, they just came on board. We noticed that the Monitoring, Control and Surveillance Department that's supposed to monitor the fishing is not there. No budget is made. The executive need to look at that and see how they can provide budgetary provision, provision to be able to monitor what is happening in that space. We're talking about food. Fish is part of it. So thank you very much, Honorable Minister.
Thank you. Just on a parting shot, fish and poultry is one of, because there's a lot of emphasis on nutrition now.
Impressive.
And that is one area that is very high in nutrition.
Impressive.
Thank you very much.
Impressive. Thank you, Honorable Minister. The CG Custom, please.
Honorable Speaker, honorable members of the House, thank you once again for the opportunity. With your permission, Honorable Speaker, for better time management, permit me to aggregate all the questions asked around 4 or 5 key areas.
Leave is hereby granted.
Thank you, sir. The first one is on the palliative and management of the palliative, which elicited the interest of so many members. And permit me to start off front by relieving my chairman of any responsibility in the management of palliative. We are responding directly to a directive given to us by Mr. President, and who expressed preference that we should do what we did through direct allocation to Nigerians. And this was what we did. Now, there are a number of issues that have been raised. Was it the first time, and what has happened to previous ones? I alluded to that in my presentation. We had a number of structures and outlets through which such goods were given out before. We were working very actively with the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs. We worked with state governors, particularly those that have IDPs and places where there were requirements, need for food interventions, where we have disasters and all of that. And we've gone to orphanages in the past, relief homes for the aged and all of that. So those were all the structures that we have used in the past. But this particular one, the President directed that we should take it. And we take the observation from the Honorable Speaker that we could also use the instrumentalities of parliamentarians. We'll take this message back to Mr. President, who sent us the initial message. The second issue, well, there are a very strong issue raised about the fact that we did not do it simultaneously. You want to appreciate the fact that that operation is a very, very tasking one because it happened, or it was supposed to happen in all the places where we had our key operations. So you're talking about big federal operations units, big commands where those seizures are kept. So we felt that we needed to put in a plan, run it, and take some learnings from what we did in the first instance. And in Lagos, for example, we learned that it was not just enough for you to distribute 20,000 bags of rice. That even if you distribute 1 million, when the last bag, when you are distributing it, you need an exit plan to explain to so many other people who are waiting to collect bags of rice. And that was actually the issue we had in Lagos because the stampede happened after we have distributed the very last bag. Even if we are doing 10 million, all of them we exhaust at a particular time, And the problem was that we did not just have enough for everybody. Did we certify them fit for human consumption? Yes. Those are standard protocols that we have to get them certified by the relevant government agency before we administer them. And of course, we also have to get them condemned in the court so that they could be forfeited to federal government of Nigeria before we did that. The second issue is the engagement with our communities in the border areas. And I also remember that one honorable member asked whether the border closure was discriminatory in nature. Well, as a deliberate policy, engagement, stakeholder engagement, particularly those of border areas, is upfront in what I do as Controller General of Customs. All my visits, all my efforts have been directed towards them to seek their understanding, to seek their buy-in, because we believe that they are very critical stakeholder in managing our borders. And in body language, in actions, I have demonstrated that. And I'm very happy that this Parliament, as part of the submission, budget submission we made for 2024, has approved that we undertake projects, big projects that speaks to issue of community social responsibilities in 6 border stations spread all over the country. Now, in terms of whether those borders are, the closure are discriminatory, no, they are not discriminatory. We were operating within very clear directives given to us. And if you allow me to take you back to 2019, we had a general border closure. But then, federal government, in its wisdom, opened some few of them, about 4. Then later, another additional 2 was added. And this was the situation until the unfortunate incident that happened in our neighboring country happened, and our borders with that country was closed. So these are the places where border closure was implemented. And as we speak, machineries have been put in motion to review that policy, and I'm very sure in the next few days we are going to have a major pronouncement regarding the resuscitation of regular activities around those borders. We are not opposed to marketing, operation of markets around our border stations. We know that these are Nigerians, and we know that operation of these markets are some of those things that they do on a daily basis. So customs has no business in stopping those market operations. But sometimes we see food items in quantities that defies the size and operations of such markets. And when we see those kind of things, we ask questions. And this is what has led to the seizure of those huge food items that we have seen that were making their way out of the country. It is part of the measure that we are implementing during the food emergency and food security situation. I am sure this is not something that we continue once we are out of the woods regarding this particular one. The third major issue, which was raised by my brother, Honorable Kuye, has to do with exports of Nigerian origins seen in some foreign markets, and whether what we are doing to stop this. One of the first things that we did is to review our export procedures in the customs. We have designated a terminal specifically to look after export operations. We know that some of these things are perishable, and we are working with Nigerian Port Authority to ensure that these food items are given speedy access through the port so that they can be taken out. Within the customs, we are also digitalizing our export processes. Before, we concentrated so much on imports, and I've made it very, very close that our salvation eventually will lie in how much of the potentials that lies in the export economy that we are able to tap into. So my officers in the commands and our stakeholders, we are liaising with them and the appropriate agencies of government, NEPC and the Free Zone Authority, to ensure that Nigeria becomes a destination of point where we can manufacture and send for export.
Okay, CG, round up.
Yes, I'm rounding up with the last issue, which is Forex. Forex goes beyond what Nigeria Customs Service alone can handle. We manage this with the relevant authorities of government that has the mandate to do it. We're making progress on issues. The first is to address the issue of volatility, which we have experienced in the last 2 weeks. We no longer have it. Now we are also engaging them further to see if we can determine some spot rates which we can use for importation of goods. Once again, I thank you, Honorable Speaker, for the opportunity. Thank you, sir.
Before you sit, quickly, there's a question which I'm not sure you answered. Why does custom use prevailing exchange rate to determine duty payable instead of the one at the time the Form M was opened? And that increases the price of goods. Then secondly, energy costs. This is coming from Honorable, the first one came from Honorable Chris Nkwanta. The second one is coming from Honorable Boyega Ishiaka. And it's saying energy cost is the main cause of inflation in border town. Let's ask the CG custom if the 20-kilometer restriction cannot be removed yet, can we allow more stations in border town to access fuel? That is, he has answered that? Or he has answered that? Okay, don't worry, he's taking notes on that. Then the next one is, based on available empirical data, importers are currently spending approximately $2.5 billion annually on importing wheat into Nigeria for milling flour, aiming to fulfill our domestic demand of 5 million metric tons of wheat and offset the 4.7 metric tons of wheat supply deficit. So, what are you doing about helping the importation of wheat and ensuring that if there is need for waiver, for us to have enough of this in our country is guaranteed? This is one of the questions coming in from the members. So, over to you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. The issue on Forex was the last question I answered when I was rounding up. If you just allow me to give a little bit of more meat to it.
2 minutes, 2 minutes.
Okay. Forex is not something that Customs manages exclusively. We do this with the Central Bank of Nigeria. And in the last 1 week, there has been positive outcome from the engagement that we're having with the Ministry of, with the Central Bank of Nigeria. This engagement will continue until we get to a rate that will not milk manufacturers and importers, that will not make them dry. In terms of the policy on 20 kilometer, it is being reviewed. The review that started almost 2-3 months ago, and I want to believe that with the current rapprochement that Nigeria is having with our neighbors, we're going to also start discussions on a permanent joint commission with Benin Republic in the next few days. I want to believe that this policy will be reviewed and that restriction will be taken off. In terms of the wheat importation, again, this is policy. We're giving fiscal policy and then we implement. If today Ministry of Agri takes that initiative to finance and then they ask us to levy zero on it, of course this will be implemented. Once in a while we also take interest in this particular issue so that we can provide inputs into policy making. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think that's enough. That will be enough for you for now. Nasra, I think you have only one question. If you can come up, Nasra. Nasel. I think the summary of the question is, what is the update on the progress of the anchor borrowers program, including loan disbursement statistics, loan repayment statistics, and the impact and the non-impact on agricultural financing and productivity? Just in 5 minutes, just summarize.
Okay, thank you, Honorable Speaker. The first question asked by Honorable Salami, access to credit percentages by farmers.
Please speak into the mics. They want to hear you.
Access to credit percentages by farmers. We're doing a lot when we come on board to see how farmers can even have more access to credit. We're going around, you know, ours is to facilitate flow of investment and finance. We're not actually giving out money,
but with risk. So we encourage the the banks and other financial institutions to lend to agriculture. So we have been doing a lot. We have been going around to see how we can be able to stimulate that, to see how we can be able to encourage the private sector to be able to lend more to agriculture. And we have been doing a lot. Last year alone, we have done quite a lot in terms of making sure that smallholder farmers, even largeholder farmers, are having access to credit. Again, our initiative also is to call what we call financial framework. Financing framework is a situation where we have a framework that we can go and approach a bank that will have a joint cooperative of farmers in any subnational, and they are in a kind of production that we can be able to group them together and then ask the bank to support them. We're almost concluding on the finance framework, and if we conclude on that, I have no doubt whatsoever access to credit by small and even large-scale holder farmer would be great. The second question is the question by Honorable Lekki on the billions of naira disbursed. But I want to also try to clarify to the House that we have NISAL, which is the Nigerian Incentive-Based Risk Sharing for Agri-Lending, and we have also NISAL Microfinance. Ours is a risk-sharing agency. We don't involve in actual disbursement of funds, but it's the NISAL Microfinance that does that, and that is through the SMEs, small and medium enterprises.
I think that's about it. What did he say? I think it's okay. You can have your seat.
Thank you very much.
I don't think we have any question for the trust, the Agri Trust Fund. I think no question was generated for you. I think maybe in the second engagement or at the committee level, they will engage you more. Custom, please, we still insist that you conduct a state of affairs on the distribution of that palliative, and also work out a way that the members of the House of Representatives will become part and parcel of that for the what's supposed to go to their constituents. So you should do that and report back to us on the state of affairs in 4 weeks.
To be done.
Please, Leader, I want you to, before I make an announcement, I want you to just rise and give them a vote of thanks for coming in to, like I always say,
okay.
Though we are three arms of government, we are one government. So once in a while, we will, get together to know what the policies of governments are, to communicate that to Nigeria. That is the engagement tool that democracy is preaching. And as the People's House, whenever we invite you, not everything is about investigation. Some might be information sharing. And that is what we have done today. So over to you, Leader. Did I say Leader or did I say Chief Whip? Please let Chief Whip greet them, please.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Usman Bello Kumo is my name. I represent the Federal Constituency. First and foremost, Mr. Speaker, let me start by appreciating the leadership under your own guide for making this sectorial debate part of our legislative agenda. Let me quickly appreciate the head of the sectors and our invited guests today for appearing and giving fruitful information to Nigerians. We thank you and we appreciate you very well. And we are looking forward to how to personally collaborate with you as an institution. We are having one government, and the responsibility of all of us is to ensure that we have a secured Nigeria, a Nigeria that food is available, life and property is adequately protected, and our citizens are happy with us as leaders. To our colleagues, we appreciate you for the way we are conducting ourselves. It always gives us that encouragement as leaders that we always conduct ourselves in a decorum manner, in a manner in which we are always discussing Nigeria. So, Mr. Speaker, once again, we thank you and we appreciate you for this, your leadership. The leadership style which you are copying from Tajuddin Abbas is worth emulation. It is on this note that I thank all of us, and may God continue to give this country and leaders the vision, that visionary and purposeful leadership that should be given to Nigeria. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Before we move for them to leave the chamber, let me make this announcement. Announcement on Conference Committee for the Harmonization of the National Assembly bills between the Senate and House of Representatives. The following members have been selected for the Conference Committee on the Harmonization of a bill on the harmonized retirement age for staff of the National Assembly. One is Professor Julius Ihombre, Honorable Ali Issa JC, Honorable Madaki Ali Usani, Honorable Isiaka Ibrahim, Honorable Chief Canis Mo Wachuku, Honorable Kingsley Ochinda. Second announcement is on Conference Committee for the Harmonization of a Bill on the Southeast Development Commission. The following members have been selected as members of this committee on the above subject matter. Honorable Kingsley Chinda will lead the committee. Honorable Ozodinobi George, Honorable Kauje, Honorable Jinjo Musibe, Honorable Bamidele Salam. The Ad hoc Committee on Restructuring of Federal Agencies and Commission. Clerk, I will announce this by tomorrow. We have to confirm from the Speaker, okay? Please, leader move that the House be adjourned to tomorrow, same time. Or move for us to excuse leader, please move that our guests be excused. Move that they exit, our guests exit the Parliament.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, honorable colleagues. In the absence of having exhausted our deliberation with our invited guests, I hereby move that they exit the chamber. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Please, Honorable Minority Leader, please.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My dear colleagues, I rise to second the motion that we do discharge our guests. I so second.
Those in support of this motion say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. You may now lead our guests out of the chamber. Leader, please lead our guests. All right, please, Chief Whip, move that the House do adjourn till tomorrow same time. Chief Whip, move for adjournment.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Usman Bello Kumo, my name. President of Federal Constituency, I rise to move that this House do adjourn to tomorrow, 11 o'clock.
Minority Leader, please.
Mr. Speaker, my dear colleagues, I rise to second the motion That the House do adjourn to tomorrow. I so second.
Thank you. Those in support of this say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The House is hereby adjourned to tomorrow, same time.